you're joining us every day, because every day there's going to be a lesson right at the top, and then we're going to be trading just like we always do. So we hope you had a great time with us today. Lots to talk about. The market recovered, DJT going. There's a few small cap gappers that were going as well. Let's finish off here with a quick look at the mag. Ram to have a look at what they're doing. The dead one, Apple, just printed the high at day. What's going on there? So interesting look there on Apple, but it is 2 o'clock, so let the actual real traders cover these Mag 7 for you guys. No, that was a dig at us, but it's all good.
That was a little bit of a dig.
Okay. Whoa, kind of talking about both of us there, but yeah, should have just talked about myself.
Whoa, yeah, that one there. Fail stamp.
All right, guys. Joe and I, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Let's go.
Get it, big kahunas.
Thank you, everybody. And I had to look it up when those guys were talking about the Scott Steiner math, because I had forgotten all about that promo. That's a wild one. So every stock has a 50-50 chance to go up or down on a given day, but DJT is such a freak that it's a 67%, and then he goes on and on. It's actually pretty hilarious. I watched that clip.
Oh, yeah? I don't know.
Oh, man, I love those old wrestling freaks, but Ramin apparently knew it because that's how she rolls and does math. But math doesn't matter. The reality is squeezing up, relief rally, DJT is now up 15%. I shorted it VWAP and got away with it. But now it's an absolute rocket ship. Friday's highs are pretty much in play right now on DJT. Call it like 35.50, although pre-market it was a lot higher than that. So DJT gets it all back. I shouldn't say gives it all back. Gets it all back and then some as it continues to fly higher. Market's pretty much where it was when we left you. The NASDAQ 0.02% down. It's been fluctuating, give it a couple of points here or there, like ticks above, not even points, like 0.1, 0.2 above or beneath green. So it's been a relatively flat day for the NASDAQ, but that doesn't mean there aren't plenty of things that are going. There is also this PAX stock. Hindenburg report came out on them. I mean, it's only down 27% now, but dropped 43, pretty much cut in half. A little bit of a VWAP retracement here on PACS, basically calling them, said they were defrauding the taxpayer is a bit of a scam, healthcare company there. But it's at VWAP right now. Looking to see if it can do a little bit of a VWAP retrace. PACS, another mover during the midday.
I'm actually remarkably, what's up, everybody? I'm actually up pretty much the same amount of money on all three stocks that I've traded today. And Tesla, what's up, everybody? We wrote down 247 to 249 short. So this will be the stock that we're up the most. $4.50 winner right now on Tesla as it was written down. So there it goes. Nice move there on Tesla. We did get out of our Intel as it started to rip up to the upside. Great fills up there, man. 2278, like, once it ripped up, then we started filling, then out there. Obviously, wish we would have held it. It does hold that. I did a couple laps in the pool there. But, we'll still be here, man. This is going to be a big trophy day. Tough day trading, as you saw Sharif. And, we'll go over all of our trades here coming through. But at the end of the day, man, 3 for 3 is pretty good. We'll look to continue going forward here. But I'm looking forward to seeing what some of the stocks you guys want to talk about right now. Real sees real. You guys can clearly see that. You can ask us what we've been doing here throughout lunchtime. I have not been doing anything. We did short. We got out of some of that Tesla. We got out of some of this Palantir. Palantir as well. I mean, good moves to the downside. Shorted right into 42 as we talked about that. So, yeah, some pretty decent opportunities here as we go. I want to thank everybody for coming back and watching us trade one more time. And again, like this is real trading. Trying to show you guys that it's very, very possible to sit here and do what we do and just relax, trade, and have a good time. So we're doing that right now. We'll have an opportunity to look for some more interesting names as we go through the rundown, which I don't see anybody, so that will probably be happening
we'll get to
later
it.
than expected.
We'll get to it after, I guess, Sharif will, he's got to decompress a little bit during the midday, suppose all that action over in DJT. I see a few names,
right.
And obviously you can't vote. I know you can't really vote anymore, but I'm seeing a few people trying to put some names in there. Some like Join AMD, like the voting for, if you want a name covered, the voting in the midday closes 10 minutes before we get into the afternoon show. So if you throw it in now, you're not going to be able to get into that vote. That said, I mean, Dude 101 said have a look at AMD. And what's interesting is it's kind of flat bottom breaking, not really the same kind of flat bottom trade that sometimes we'll talk about like a multi-day level. But AMD was one of the names that went green to red, or sorry, red to green, and then green to red, and is now losing a little bit of support here. So as much as AMD was super strong in the morning, this is now what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess this would be the 5th day in a row it's going to head to the downside here on advanced micro devices. So unfortunately, this one's taking on the chin. It is trying to break down underneath Friday's lows and afternoon support as we speak. It had been so strong this morning, but like a lot of things, running out of steam here, AMD. I like this 142. That's essentially the close price. If it pops back up, you got the 142 and the previous close and VWAP all working for you on advanced micro devices. So there you go, Dude 101. We just had a look at AMD, and I believe we're ready to go over to Sharif to see what else you guys are interested in talking about.
Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. Neil and Sean locked and loaded, ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. So join us during that midday show and get into that chat and vote for your favorite tickers, but only the top 5 make it on. Here's a look at the Qs. So essentially the ES and the triple Qs flat at the moment. A little green, a little red on both sides. The Dow down the Dow I believe is down marginally, and then the Russell is really outperforming all other three indices, up about 0.75% or thereabouts. But let's have a look at the first ticker as decided by you guys. Coinbase. No specific catalyst today for Coinbase, but we saw Bitcoin sell off over the weekend. The largest liquidation day on Friday for Bitcoin, going back to the 25th of October, but was able to recover today, guys, off the lows. Is Coin up about 2%?
You know what? Coin basically, well, not yet, but it looks like it's just going to do Friday's range. It seems like lit grab in the middle of the day, as you can see, like a lit grab, meaning that you crossed underneath Friday's lows and Thursday's lows, and then you get a little bit of a reversal, so V-shaped recovery into a breakout. I mean, 190 is going to sit out here for Coinbase. The bigger thing, well, I shouldn't say the bigger thing, at least what's a bigger thing to me, is on that big pullback when you rejected the all-time high on Bitcoin. And remember, Coin and some of the others had already pulled back before you got that rejection of the all-time high on Bitcoin. Well, you made a base at the 50-period moving average here at about the 180 level. So some support coming in on the 50-period on the day here in Coinbase, only because this is, again, I'll talk about what I was in this morning, which I was never really looking at Coinbase. But certainly I like the fact it's over the 50. MAR is not yet above that 50 period, but it seems like it made a little bit of a bottom of its own here when Bitcoin bounced. So early shorts a few times off of 15.8, but it's now right back. And all of a sudden, if it takes out 16, it could do the same move that Coin did, which is break underneath Friday's lows, recover, give a bit of a V shape, and then possibly you found a little bit of a temporary bottom on that Bitcoin pullback. The difference being Coinbase does it while holding the 50 period. Mara does it while being underneath the 50 and the 200. Just wanted to show that it's underneath both of those. But yeah, good little bounce play for Coinbase off of that 50 period SMA. So a little bit of a dip after earnings, a little bit of a dip after Bitcoin did not break that all-time high, and now on the way back up. So like that 180 probably going forward the rest of the week.
All right, I'm just going to go over to DJT. And DJT continues to run up. Donald, John, Trump. Shout out to my guy over there, Sharif. I like that. There it goes up to 15% now. DJT continues to move, man. I mean, it's starting to go one more time. I mean, it's going to break. Like you're making it all back, man. Thursday, Friday, we're right back into these levels. So watch out for this little level right there. That's 39. I mean, I think we can get to that, honestly. This would be a break there. 36 is. I think the next break to take long, I mean, that's 37 flat right there. Goes back to the top of Thursday morning. So we talked about selling this thing off starting last Wednesday. It was almost to a T, but not really expecting this kind of a move back there today. As we look at some of the odds going through, I mean, I'm super busy. I'm out coaching tomorrow till 8:30, but we'll get home and figure this out. Right now, 55%, and you can see, oops, I guess I'll have to refresh this to get a better, more accurate read, but it's extending. There we go, 55. Okay, so it's extending out a little bit with the momentum, right? And so here's the momentum. We were about flat about 2 days ago. Now you're starting to extend out a little bit one more time there, coming through from Kalshi's website. So we'll have to watch out for DJT, but a great little move there on the 20-minute. Look at here, riding up the 50-period moving average, dips down into 34. Looked like a great long, for DJT. So 34 bucks and change right here. Sit around there, see if it's worth taking that long, as this stock is getting really excited heading into tomorrow. Hey man, less than 24 hours away. Obviously those numbers won't come through until near the end of the day as polls start to close. But wow, oh wow. I mean, these are very, very exciting times, and DJT is one to watch out. And we have, I'm sure Tesla's on there, not for a minute, but this is going to be, it'll be funny. We'll talk about it because me and Neil both have different stories on this one. But Tesla right here today, nice move to the downside, and 244. We do have a bid. Oh no, sorry, I just took a bid right there at 244.20s. We have a bid now at 243. Let's see if we can break this to the downside here, Tesla. But all right, Sofi. You guys want to talk about Sofi? Well, let's go find out what Sharif has to say.
It's down 0.4, Sean. Not really sure what's going on with this one today, but it had a monster earnings report last week, and we saw on the 30th that moved up quite big, a big directional move. Since that time, though, we've been putting in lower lows and lower highs. Again, no specific catalyst on it, but in case you're wondering how they did when they reported last week, they beat on the top and bottom line, and they had multiple endless upgrades as well since that time. So possibly some profit taking now, though, but guys, down 0.4.
Yeah, the story for SoFi really is the last 3 sessions. If you want to get it, it's just a dip at the open, and pretty much that'll be it. Like if you're looking for the long trade, but in terms of like actual price action, it's not a bad sign. Like anytime you have that big of a red to green or green to red on earnings like SoFi did, which was it was intense. It was 11 to 12, 11.99. We got a little bit of flack for saying got to $12. 11.99, same thing. But then pulled underneath $10, and that was just at the open to then rebound. Well, since then, if you look at that close on earnings day, I think that's the spot that's being bought up in front of. But the bad news is, yeah, it's getting bought at the open when it dips, but each dip is a little bit further than the last, and now you've also got lower highs. So I don't wonder if this one might be headed for some kind of a retest of 10. Like it's doing, we like a rounded bottom. Well, it's doing a little something different since earnings, which is a bit of a rounded top, and I think a retest of 10 at least seems relatively likely. But unless you were sitting there thinking, hey, let's just go dip at the open, that's been the trade. Like it's what it looks like in a 3-minute. At the open, big time dips. You're trying to catch it. Maybe you get something off of VWAP. It's doing a VWAP hold right now, at least, on SoFi. But there's not much of a catalyst here outside of a continuation play. So I don't know about an afternoon trade for SoFi. Not with DJT doing what it's doing. You know, it's hard for sometimes for names like this to go crazy when you have a few other that are taking the limelight.
Okay, let me have a quick look here at SoFi for the first time. We'll look at this together. So, all right, so what I see when I see SoFi here, obviously these tops at 11.15. All right, you're down 0.41. So I'm just going to go through what I think. So NASDAQ one's flat on ES. Okay, so both the major indexes are flat right now, right? NASDAQ is flat, ES is flat, SoFi is down. So for me, it would be a short. You're trying to hold out. I think it's been a great little holdout right now to that upside. We've seen a lot of these names come back in. SoFi is actually holding up. So I really, really like what it's trying to do up here, trying to hold for a little bit longer. Good. I'd think it's a buy down here in and around 1040. And given the fact that that may come through, I think it might be worth looking at. So SoFi right in here around these levels, probably something to discuss, but it needs to drop down almost to where that wick was there. If we can get like a 1060, that would match with this high back in January. And I feel like that's a good little level to start building into a long and then see if it holds. That bottom right there is 1040. So we'll have to see what winds up happening in and around that level there for SoFi. So yeah, I mean, I'm, like the stock as far as the day trade today. Yeah, probably missed it. I mean, look where we went right into that 1060 early. So I would still be playing the short. I'd love to short this around. I mean, we're getting close. It's not too far away, right? That's 11.10 right there. Give this thing 10 cents for a bump. I think Sofi is a definite short. Thank you for the question.
Interesting look today for Amazon, down 1%. It did catch a nice upgrade there, or maintaining, I should say, the overweight rating from Morgan Stanley and boosting the price target up to $230 from $210. Not a bad look. Separately on Halloween, there was this headline. So it looks like the Federal Trade Commission and a coalition of states filed a lawsuit against Amazon, alleging, amongst other things, monopolistic practices, anti-discounting tactics, secret pricing algorithms. The accusations go on. I'll let you guys read it. But yeah, down about almost 1% today, guys.
Yeah, so big cap tech name has the regulators coming at them. Not too much of a surprise there, obviously. Amazon, just the latest. We've seen Alphabet, we've seen it with Meta, we've seen it with Apple to a certain extent, and they've even talked about it with Nvidia. There is some chance, at least, that you could see a little bit of a different tone depending on the outcome of the election with the FTC, but we'll see. I mean, that's all for after the fact. So Amazon to me was the actual opposite of Friday in a lot of ways. Like Friday was. Like, I mean, you can look at $200 on Friday. Like, it's just, it would get there. In the morning, it was like $199.99 right away at 9:30 that it held. And then you had like several tests of the $200 level. There was one time it broke, but even that was pretty clean if you had a tight stop on it. So, like, as far as I'm concerned, it looked to me like that Bezos barrier, whatever you want to call it, at 200, where all the selling occurred, was right back intact, only you didn't even have a consolidation. The last time we were up here, you got there multiple times. So today, I came in looking for that continuation, whether it was going to be 200 or 99 or 98, none of those levels came into play. So unfortunately, didn't get to the big one, but still took several swings at it. I got some bad wicks in here, a little bit easier to see. We had it underneath VWAP for a couple of positive scalp trades, and then we had it a third time here off of the pre-market lows. Traded it one time again before getting eventually stopped out. And this is where there's one, I always look at it as you try to trade every strategy that sets up for you and that you think has a positive expectancy, right? Has a positive expectancy for you. So if I look at the last two trades, and we'll show Tesla's going to be next. The two trades that I like the best in Tesla, okay, well, at least when it gave me the mean reversion setup on a stock I was looking short, at least I took it. But when that set up here on Amazon, like that similar trade set up here on Amazon, I didn't actually get Amazon. And Amazon did do that same thing where you're looking short in a general area. I'm willing to short at VWAP. I'm shorting off pre-market highs, playing little bits of curls here. Well, when it does the mean reversion trade, that's the one ultimately that you always want. And we'll talk about Tesla next, but that was the miss, not getting the mean reversion on Amazon. Regardless of how you've traded on it before, that's the shot right here on Amazon. It's about 196. It's the same prices as before, but it's the entry that matters. It's the trend entry, which we'll show next on Tesla. I was willing to take a couple times because that's the execution that you want.
Yeah, so Amazon, that's how that was traded. And so I didn't trade it at all there today. I think it was pretty easy to go short up here at 197.25. But again, you have to be looking at that, right? This is exactly the kind of trade that I should be in. Going short right into there, right off that support. That resistance was support here as we closed it on Friday. And then right in there to 197.25. I feel silly not having that. That seems like now when you look at it, a very, very simple trade. But don't have it right there. Neil was just mentioning it. Yeah, so... All right, Amazon for me, moving forward. Again, I look at all this stuff and I just think red. Like, I think dead red, man, on all this stuff. I mean, you're flat on the NASDAQ. This is down 1% underneath VWAP. Probably a short right now. That's Amazon. All right, Tesla, let's go. I'll talk about this one.
Yeah, it's an interesting look here, Sean. Down 1.8%, looking, well, we're definitely off the lows, but still looking to make lower lows and lower highs. There was this headline from today, Tesla delivering about 68,000 and change thousand cars in China for the month of October, which was about a 5.3% drop from the amount that they delivered the same time last year. Separately, comparisons have been made to BYD. BYD delivering more cars than Tesla in China, but less electric vehicles, pure EV plays there as the comparisons are always made. So guys, 1.8% in the negative, but yeah, we'll see what happens with this one tomorrow.
All right, so Tesla right here, like I said, it'll be a tale of two stories. Neil will go over his, I'll go over mine right here. And the thing is that for me, it was pretty simple. We absolutely nailed this. This will be P&L number one for the show for me. Well, actually not for the show, and we'll get to that. Okay, so there's Tesla right there. 247 to 249, go short. That's what we talked about it. We said, let's wait for that trade. Friday's close, bad numbers there out of China. Pretty simple as it goes, right? Be patient. We talked about that all day. There it is right here. Tesla, 247 to 249, short sale. Give it $2 worth of range. If you're going to give something $2 worth of range, you damn well better have a $4 winner like we do on right now. So there it goes. We actually made decent amount of money early on Tesla, and it was because of this break. So we actually missed the break right there when we broke through the low of the day, 243.50. That was the break to go short, but we played it. Spidey senses go up. You know, like I said, we're here to trade. We see this opportunity. This was where all the money was pretty much made early. Then we gave some back when it broke. Did it again here as we go into 244, 245 against the 200 period. Then as this was going up, what did we say? Stick to the plan. This is how you raise trophies. This is how you go 3 for 3. You stick with the plan. If it doesn't work, you go 0 for 3. But that's why you put in the work and you look at things you want to trade. This is how you make money. So there it goes, 247, 248, 249. We traded exactly the way we wanted to trade it. Then when it came back down, we got out of it exactly how we wanted to when it came back in now underneath VWAP. So yeah, man, it's a good trade. We now only have small amounts left. Tesla, the number one P&L name for me there today. And yeah, it's awesome when things work out that way. You're supposed to be up on this stock. It's supposed to be number one, and it is for me there today. Look, I mean, I love the stock. I love it short underneath 250. I think it can get back up there. I think it can get there tomorrow. But again, right now, Tesla's been beat up a little bit. It's been bad off its earnings call. I think it still works, but that's the trade today for Tesla. Short early off trading instincts, short late off technicals.
Yeah, I love that trade in Tesla, and this is what I'm talking about. You got to stick with your own plan of action. So myself, for Tesla, if I'm short, and again, like I actually had exactly the same levels when I tweeted out this morning, 47 and 50. I think we could all see those ones last week when we were talking about it. Well, okay, so it didn't trade off of those early. So unless you're pop and fade at the open on this one, like right in here, then you have to wait. Okay, so what's first plan? If it trends down, I want to look VWAP as first shot. So we went to first bounce into VWAP, wait for it to get to VWAP, scalp one win, scalp out. At that point, we're essentially flat on it. Then we try again off of, okay, opening range top. Does it fail the opening range top? Show some weakness off the opening range top, lower high, stop out, willing to get out. And then I'm looking for a mean reversion trade. Like wait for it to get to your price level. And this is the difference between Tesla and Amazon, was willing to take a couple more shots at it. And then when it did the actual setup on the mean revert, it stopped out high, bottom top wicked it. Then the breakout underneath, same price underneath at 48, and played that one back into VWAP. So again, it was more about the execution strategy than anything else for me. Now, the only difference is the first time, if it works, is much better than the second time if it works. Because the first time, if it works, you have like a clear out at that 1,249, and I'm always looking at that mean reversion to fall apart right away, just like Amazon. I'm always going to like it more when it breaks that trend the first time. If it simply holds and then comes back in the same price, I'm going to like it for less. I'm not going to have as much on it anymore. So I only make half back of what I was down on Tesla because it didn't work the first time it set off through. The other thing on EV land, because this is the only chance we're going to get to say it here when we talk about the EVs, is once again, Rivian gets a bit of a reprieve. And I feel as if, and Randy was talking about this one, Randy actually expecting Rivian when they report this week that their cash burn should have slowed down. The potential, I shouldn't say the potential that their cash burn will slow down. But holding on to the $10 level another day. They don't report till Thursday, but it feels as if it might not make a test of this 10 level or underneath that 10 level until we get to Thursday for Rivian. So I think it might be safe to just look for like potential quick little dip scalp trades on this. It doesn't seem to want to break underneath the lows, possibly until after the report. You can see it's gotten very, very, consolidative here in the low 10s on Rivian specifically. So it's going to be, there's still a lot of earnings to get to, and this one on Thursday, I expect some fireworks. One way or another, you're running away from this $10 level, that's for sure.
Big day for Boeing today. The machinists who have been on strike for the better part of 7 weeks are voting yet again on a new contract offer. This time, they boosted the wages from 35%, which was rejected last time, up to 38%. The union workers and the union in general had been lobbying for 40%. That's not the end of the story. They're also looking for more 401k contributions. Essentially, at the beginning, they were looking for pensions, and Boeing said no to that outright. Lastly, they're talking about moving jobs, possibly from the Northeast in Washington State down to South Carolina or North Carolina, and that they're looking for guarantees that that won't be done. So we'll have to wait. They have until 10 p.m. today to vote. We'll wake up, I guess, tomorrow morning and find out they're still on strike.
Right. It's like, yeah, it's 7 Pacific time, it looks like. So obviously, look, they need this. They need this certainty because Boeing has been a stock that has been looking for some kind of positive news. And even though, obviously they're going to have to pay a little, they're going to pay more than they would have if the first two agreements had been reached. At the end of the day, I think they're just looking for some kind of positive headline for Boeing. And 157, I mean, that's it. 157. Like it needs 50 periods at 157. Outside of 3 days, there's been resistance around this price since the beginning of or the middle of September. And I think tomorrow, with the assumption, I mean, I don't know how the vote's going to go. Obviously, if they don't get a deal done, then I wouldn't be looking long. But if they do get a deal done, and this is above the 157, which I'm guessing it will probably gap away from that price, I think that would be the play. Always a chance that you could break it out early. People can start to get excited and think it's going to go one way or another. But just because they think it's going to be a yes, there's no guarantees until they vote this one through. I mean, if you were reading any of the articles or listening to the analysts, the second deal that they thought they had reached, I mean, they were obviously wrong there. I tend to think that, at some point they're going to get this done, no questions asked, and then Boeing can get on the way to recovery, at least in terms of stock price, but it's at 157, maybe 157.5 that needs to burst through. I don't feel like you're breaking it out today, though. It seems rather unlikely, given that the vote is tonight.
All right, yeah, Boeing. I mean, I didn't look at it today, but we can look at it right now for the first time if you guys want us to. Okay, Boeing, nice move up right there off 155. I mean, again, a nice little 5-minute range. Looks to be going higher. I still think now, trading relative strength versus weakness, I mean, Boeing would be something that's on the radar to try to break through this 157. So if it can get through there, then yeah, I think there's a good chance for Boeing to continue that streak higher. I mean, bouncing off VWAP, bouncing off VWAP again, bouncing off VWAP again. So, I mean, these would be all trades that I think we could look for. Boeing today in the afternoon, looking like it's a good one, breaking through 157. I want to thank everybody for your participation in the rundown. All right, so Palantir, again, a trade here for PLTR today. This was another one that we had written down on the sticky note. Again, I know everyone wants these trades, and that's why we put them out. Like boom, boom, boom. There it is, Palantir up to $42. Comes right into those levels. Good shorting opportunities here coming through. Again, I wasn't here. It doesn't matter. There's 12 o'clock. We already shorted there. Should have been short again. But we take that same trade, and look what's happening right now. Trying to break back down below. Palantir reports tonight. So we get ready for that one. We've been selling some on the way up. We talked about that. Great stock, up 145% this year. Palantir now coming back into VWAP. And hey, man, often imitated, never duplicated. These trades that I'm putting on, let's take it out again right there. There it is at 41.60. So there it goes. Nice little trade right there to come in. We'll take another bid there as it just goes up and down through 61. So hopefully we can drop back in $4.60 now in the for the number one stock here today for me, Tesla, now coming back in right here. And again, we'll you know, probably wind up holding this through. We'll see. I mean, there it goes again. Really happy to be showing this to everybody here today. It doesn't take many trades. It just takes the best ones. And if you do it with the right amount of share sizes and things like that, then you can look back and consider it pretty decent. So we'll see where it goes. We just double touched right there at 243.30s. So hopefully that comes into play again. And maybe we'll get another piece out once we get into those levels. So yeah, I'm a little bit nervous there. What's up, JTK here?
You got it?
Yeah, I got everything actually. But JTK right here, all insiders and big private funds sold at all-time highs. I don't know that to be truth, but I'll take your word for it. I've never shorted PLTR earnings, but tonight I am. Yeah, I mean, I just think that, look, we had big cap, right? I mean, Microsoft had a decent quarter, down 4%. Apple, not really, but Apple really hasn't recovered from those levels. Tesla has a great quarter, says everything right, but then now can't catch a bid. Right? And so Google, for example, had a great Q as well. A fantastic one, but now really can't, I mean, we'll see, what is it up today? So it's down. So again, can't catch a bid off that quarter, right? Like there's the quarter, here's the reaction to it. You know, I'm just talking about this little chart down here if everyone's watching. So that has a great quarter, can't come back in. The one that's been holding, and it's only because it's day 2 now, Amazon has a great quarter. I think it's probably coming back in again. So if Palantir, let's just say they do have this great quarter, that's fantastic. So what, are we going to go up 10% and just get right back up to here? And if we do that, that's fantastic. But we've been selling off all over the place. So I think that you're probably right there. I didn't catch, you know, the insider selling. I mean, all that kind of stuff is listed. So we'll be able to find that. But I want to thank you for your super chat and bringing that to everybody's attention, including my own. I dumped some there at 43.44. You guys know that. We talked about it and all of that. Another name that reports tonight is Win. We sold this live on the show at 104. You know, didn't look too good about it when it went up to 109 or 108. But now 104 is looking pretty decent for a sell on that one as well. So watch out for Win coming back in. I mean, again, it goes up on China stimulus. What stimulus? Comes all the way back down to 95. I still like the stock, but again, you know, the area, right? We're going to have to see what's going to happen there in China. What is it? What's the Chinese where all the gambling takes place? I can't.
Oh, Macau.
Macau, right? So we have LVS big in there as well, and Win all pulling back in right now. So, you know, I am a little bit shaky on what's been happening now, and I bought some more. Actually, I sold today some Amazon. I love Amazon, but
that 200 Bezos sell is like.
Yeah, I just took a little bit of profit, man. I mean, I bought some at 160, 165, 170 on the way down. So let's take a little bit of advantage of that. And then Berkshire, like I was saying, you don't get too many opportunities to get into this name. So we bought some more Berkshire down here around 440. So again, I don't 440. I don't know what exactly it's price I got it at, but there's Berkshire pulling in nicely. So I'm going to take advantage of that. Again, have still $69 billion worth of Apple, but I don't have too much exposure to the insurance business or to finance. So we'll continue to look for some Berkshire here as we drip down a little bit. We talked about that strategy there, or those statistics of Berkshire being up 703% versus 630% for the S&P 500 over the last 20 years. So, and if you look at some stocks, imagine that, S&P up 75%, Intel down over the last 20 years. I mean, there's a lot of stocks that are like that.
You want an Apple stat?
Sure.
And we're actually mentioning this on Friday. This will be the first time if you have double barrel condition since Apple came back, that Apple and the S&P are both up on the year, but Apple is underneath the return of the S&P. Like the Apple has a strong tendency to beat the S&P, and then when you think about it,
it's closest
on the point of Berkshire trimming their position, if this is being done, like I'm throwing a really big if out here, if this is because of the perceived notion that there could be higher capital gains taxes than Warren Buffett's getting out in front of it, I would think at some point, the unrealized, I should say, take those gains. Well, he's going to want to put that money back in the market. If that's the reason, then after the election, he's going to be looking to get that money back in. So I think, this could be an opportunity if you can look at some of the things that you would think he would want to buy. I don't know about Apple because that's those highs and he likes those value plays, but certainly some of the energy names that he's like could look a little bit more interesting again. I do want to get back to DJT because, let's go to Adair and then we'll talk some DJT. It's still moving.
We're going to take a look here at what happened during the midday in case you missed it. One of the biggest catalysts throughout the morning that we're still seeing reactions to is that Dow Jones Industrial Average switch up. NVIDIA entering and actually during earlier in the day, apparently usurping Apple at least briefly to become the #1 market cap company once again. Then we have Intel selling off there. They also reported there after the bell on Thursday of last week. So INTC day 2 earnings and that Dow Jones Industrial removal to be aware of here. We do have both the markets slightly flat. Nice recovery here, starting around 11:15 for the Qs and the SPY, but still kind of chopping and churning in terms of their position on the day. Some tickers on watch during the midday included DJT, making lower highs and lower lows right now, but still great on the day. This initially was gapping down, now up about 14% here ahead of the election tomorrow. So this ticker absolutely still on watch. There's also PACX. PACS, this company is called Pax Group, IPO'd earlier this year with a 7.6% short float. Decent recovery, but still down about 26%. This one actually at one point halted to the downside after a Hindenburg short report around 12:53 p.m. So lots of tickers on watch here today, guys.
All right. I actually asked ChatGPT. It said it's happened 3 times in the last 10 years. 2015, the S&P outperformed Apple. 2022, the S&P outperformed Apple, and then now. But they said that was some of it was due to poor iPhone growth. That might not be right. This is just from ChatGPT. But yeah, no,
I'm quoting from an article on CMBS is what's his face, as Shreve likes to say.
Yeah. I mean, it could be like you ask ChatGPT. I mean, you ask Perplexity, the same thing. Might be something different.
My dad actually had an issue with Gemini. So he went and he was just messing around, see what you could do with creating portfolio. Mm-hmm. And he basically was like, okay, threw a bunch of stocks out there. It was mostly like a bunch of like big cap tech stocks. Okay. And all he asked was, give me a portfolio of these individual names and just make it market cap weighted. That's all. That's all he asked. Now the trick was one of them was a Qs and had no idea to do it because there's no market cap for the Qs, but it gave a portfolio that added up to 125%. It goes, put in this percentage of this percent of that, and it added to 125%.
And then did he do it on any other ones? Or?
No, he did it on, it was just Gemini, I believe, and then ChatGPT. Okay. And it was like, yeah, it was the Gemini that got it right. And then he doesn't pay for ChatGPT, but it was surprising that the kind of mistake would happen. Very quickly, DJT just went back underneath 35. It didn't halt here. So it went back underneath 35. You're seeing a little bit of a lower high put in. Now, I haven't been touching short in that one, but the difference is on Fun, it's not through Friday's high. So I had 2 shorts on Fun, and, well, the first one was Fun, and then the second one took out the high. But now you have a bit of a trend reversal happening on Funware underneath 7. If you go from the break here with watching DJT closely, as long as DJT has been underneath the 35 or giving lower highs, I look for entries in Funware. Again, it doesn't really matter. It's just that this one's underneath resistance and DJT broke out the levels that I thought it was worth shorting underneath. So we're going to have a look at Funware here. For the short side of the trade, we had to pay for locates, so there wasn't free. It was 0.00 something. It was less than 1 cent, much less than 1 cent per share on Funware. We did have to pay for locates here.
Funware. All right, we just got filled on Palantir. What else do you guys want to talk about? All right, we got DraftKings. DraftKings. I could look at some of the charts that are happening here. We are sponsored by eSignal this now, finally. I've been using eSignal for a while. Is it time to run the eSignal thing? For me, not yet, I don't think. But this is like the hot list sort of that I look at here. You can sort this by different things. This is the most of trades that we're dealing with right now. I like to sort it by trade rate. So these are like the hot stocks that are printing right now, or at least running through a bunch of trades. So that would be DJT there. NVIDIA. I don't know if we can Can we zoom in on this? Remains busy right now, but just these are the trades that are popping right now. So SMCI, Tesla, and again, this is just brought to you by eSignal. Make sure you click the link in our description to join us with eSignal, their free 30-day trial. NVIDIA, SMCI, Tesla, Ford, SoxL, Apple, GSAT, GSAT, SPY printing right now, SoxL, Plug Power making some moves right now, $2.48. Hims and Hers right there. I heard Joe and Shreve talking about this stock, Hims. We can look at that. Plug 18%. And again, you can set up here whatever you want. I just put 52-week high, 52-week low, and then the percent change that we're seeing right now. There's Google that we just talked about, down 0.92. But right now, see, so now it's just updating LND moving around. So what stock is that? We can have a quick little look here, going through a bunch of trades right now. LND, it doesn't look like it's doing anything. Sometimes you'll get random names up here, and it's a good idea to always have a quick look to see what is going on this trade rate, to get you an idea of potentially more stocks that are moving. Like here's that PAX, so on and so forth. That is trade rate. And then again, number of trades. This will never change. These are just adds up to pure amounts of trades that are going through. And then there's one that's a volume. So above and below VWAP, ones that are close to most volatile names today. These will be more random. Like, see, like MSTR, like these will be names that are really moving around.
What I'm curious about is the VWAP one you had there. Most
Yeah,
above and below VWAP.
Yeah, so you can, I think you can go, I never use this one, but you can set it, right? So Service Now, I guess, is way above VWAP. So let's just check out Service Now right now and see what that's doing right here. So Service Now is, I guess, points above VWAP. So 8 points is probably what it's doing. So, or cents. So 800 cents. But anyways, yeah, some of them are good, some of them are bad. Not bad, but depending on what you're looking for. And the other one I like to look at is volume rate. So again, HYG is high yield bonds. We don't care about that. But as more volume comes in, you'll see different opportunities. These are a lot of ETFs in here sometimes because there's so much volume going through on ETFs. But the one that I like here is trade rate. So if you do this, this is called a hot list. It's available on eSignal, completely free. Once you subscribe and you start trading with eSignal, start using it as your platform, then this is called a hot list trade rate. And it just puts on here, and you can link this with your platforms. It doesn't link with our platform here, so I can't click on this and have a chart. But what you can do is like, here's an eSignal chart. So this is just a 5-minute chart. Rate. I'll just put it right here, for example, so you can see it. And if I just click on NVIDIA now, see it changes the chart over here to NVIDIA. So it's able to see that real quick. Obviously, that's how it works. So, but anyways, yeah, just a little bit of a promo there for eSignal. And it was just off the cuff. I just wanted to show you, this is some of the stuff that I'm using. So that's why we'll always ask, well, not always, but we often ask for like any ideas that you guys are having, because I'm looking at this hot list, and a lot of the names on there are some of the ones that you guys are also bringing to our attention. So with that, without any further ado, right now, there goes DJT. So we had talked about this when it was on our rundown, that the 50-period moving average was something we wanted to watch for. And there's the 50-period moving average. There's the breakdown through it, breaking through 35 and not holding at all. So now that this comes back in, you sort of got to say, there's really nothing else to go on. You did have a little bit of consolidation here at 34. This was the level that we had talked about, but that's when the 50 period was here. Now we've broken that one. So I don't know, man. I mean, you guys have been trading this, would know a lot more than me. Great trading. I know Sharif had some nice trades on this as well today. And yeah, DJT up 12%. But that's a little bit of a rundown of how I trade and what I look for. Only traded.
I like that one.
3 names today.
So the thing is, you're also able to, obviously, you can customize all of those, right? So if you're looking at a VWAP, like the one that's furthest away from VWAP, you can always go a little more granular, like maybe symbols that have done X amount of volume. If you don't want, you saw like a lot of really high price stocks that you might not be day trading. You can put like a volume minimum on there, maybe like a price minimum or maximum that you don't want shown. So Funware ticked short sell restricted this morning, just very barely. It closed at 674, and looks like the low here is 606, at least since the open. Ignore pre-market because that's what it counts. So 607 is all it needed to do to go SSR. So it is short sell restricted. So when it broke underneath $7 for that trend, you can't hit the bid to go short. There needs to be an uptick, and there wasn't an uptick in that last little move when DJT, as Sean just showed you, just went to the downside there, and then you lost trend on Funware. So yeah, SSR bounce for fun. It is now coming back into VWAP. I think DJT off VWAP at least looks interesting. That's all the way down here at 32. as it seems like it is starting to pull back in here. Scarjo Rabbit says DraftKings is spiking.
Well, I saw a note about something there on DraftKings. They're giving away $10,000 worth of extra bets and prizes to predict the Donald Trump swing states and all that kind of stuff. So they're trying to promote a little bit here, I guess. It's not ripping at all. So if you read that.
There was one volume spike in there.
Yeah, that was nothing. That was just an algo there. But okay, here. So here's the point. All right, so yeah, I'm glad Neil sort of saw that in the chat. I only hopped on it because I did see this message. And let's just talk about this real quick. So here in Benzinga, right, 233, DraftKings offers 10,000 in prizes. That's nothing. Like, that's 10,000 in prizes. That doesn't mean they could be $1 to 10,000 people. Who knows? But you see, when that story hits, the algos sort of get involved there. So sometimes you can, and I don't know if this is a dark pool or not, but it's a big volume spike right there. Someone read that and sort of front run the story. So that's, and then once it came in and it was nothing. So I just want to, because DraftKings is on my radar. You guys know that. I think DraftKings is another good potential here for, I'm wanting to get involved with it. The 200 period I thought was relatively close. Let me zoom out a little bit. We'll let this load. Actually, hold on. I'm not going to wait for this. I'm going to pull out my e-signal trade. Yeah, so downside right there. So actually on DraftKings here, if we're going to go for a daily chart, yeah, I don't know. I don't really, I'd like to go long here. Maybe this is where we started at $35. Let me just drop down a weekly chart here. So the reason why I like DraftKings is first mover advantage, right? We always talk about those kind of things here on the show. You need to have first mover advantage. If you don't, then it's tough. So they've got the customer acquisitions. So now that they have them all on board, we could see DraftKings now start to hopefully monetize some of that. They did have a great opportunity there. They got it up to $47.50. Now you're coming back in. So I called up a weekly. This was the level, and that's why I was saying, like, I thought I sort of like this around 30. But the 200 period on a weekly is right here at $33. That might not even be good enough. The problem is you buy it here and it's a bad quarter, you're probably down here somewhere, 20, 25. So let's hold out on DraftKings, but it's definitely one of those new technology names that I like maybe a little bit of a different play than the normal. I know Kathy Wood and ARK and whatnot is involved in this, but again, I was long down here on Palantir, $9, when it direct listed. I really like CEO, founded, and currently run names. Tesla, there's been no stock that's minted more millionaires than Tesla and NVIDIA, I would guess. I think Tesla's probably number one, and then NVIDIA, with the way NVIDIA's been running over the last little while, that's, I got it. But that's been a really, really popular play there, is to look at founder-led businesses. Palantir is one of those with Alex. So nice move to the upside right there, and you can see Palantir continues to go, and it's actually led them to get that S&P 500 inclusion, right? And I think that's part of it. Once you have these people that stick around and really know the business. You're not simply just run by a CEO. Like Intel goes into trouble, they bring in Gelsinger, right? And then what happens? More trouble. Nike went back and brought in one of their old employees that held like 21 different jobs or something to sort of try to right that ship. Now, does it always work? No. But
you can't replace the experience of the
founder. And it's just like sometimes they want to see it through. And a lot of the times you get people on board that are part of the board that are just there for shareholder interest, for their own personal interests, including stock options, and not for shareholders. So anyways, that's just a little thing there about DraftKings. And with that being said, I don't even know if it still is founder or run or not. But, I do know that it's a name that we like to look at.
Well, PLTR is, but we also on tap for you guys. We have a guest this afternoon, speaking of which, and it's going to be Jim Barrett, CEO of edgeTI. So are we ready if we can? I think we have him locked and loaded, ready to go. Jim, fantastic to meet you. How's it going?
Great to see you.
Well, we're doing fantastic here, and it's topical that we're going to have you on tonight because I have this afternoon, because I have a few questions that I think I want to ask you. But first, let's get into it. What is edgeTI, CTRL, as you can find it on the Toronto Venture? What are you, and why is it so important that we talk to you today on the day when Palantir is also going to be having their earnings?
Thank you for having us.
Come back to us.
Jim, I think Jim, I think we're having a few audio issues. So if we can, Fabian, if we can get that ironed out, because the viewers couldn't hear you when you started out there, we're going to get that fixed and get you right back on. We look forward to talking to you because I want to make sure we get this in for our guests because it is important that we have this discussion, especially before tonight.
All right. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, we'll get that all figured out. All right, just real quickly here. SMCI continues to make moves, right? So SMCI, we'll go back. We'll go back. So it's CTRL on the venture exchange. Start having a look it up. edgeTI. We'd like to talk to them about some of the ways they're changing business in front of our face right now. 25.90. It looks like we could give this up. I think I got to go in immediately and start paying for shorts. I think this is a great opportunity. I'm just going to try to throw out 100 shares here. No, so yeah, we do have to pay for it. So I'm going to go in right now and pay for some shorts here on SMCI. Hopefully breaking back down below this 25.80 makes some sense. 25.80 right now for SMCI coming into play. We'll see if we can get some love for that play right now. Breaking lower, but I got to go pay for some shorts. Quickly again, DJT. It's going to be a wild one. We're almost entering the hour of power right now, as there's DJT, a nice bounce off of 33.50. So a nice little bounce there on DJT. If you guys are patiently waiting for edgeTI, give us a couple seconds as we work through some of our technical difficulties on our end.
Yeah, exactly. And the teams are going to be working on it for sure. As Sean mentioned, DJT did pull back in, got 34. But hasn't really gotten to VWAP. Now, I mean, obviously, if it gets to VWAP, that's a level that we usually like in the afternoon. But if it just wants to put in higher lows somewhere else, that's certainly going to be in play. That said, I am watching Fun pretty closely. Now, I said I need an uptick to be able to go short in Fun. But if you're consolidating here on DJT and a chance of a rollover without getting back above 34.5, then what I'm looking for here on Fun is we had that trend break. It's a similar consolidation play right here on Funware. So watching both of these two very closely, I just think Fun is lower hanging fruit in terms of needing a pullback and being able to just follow one looking at the other. So that's what I want to do here with Fun. The other thing worth noting, and I don't know if we mentioned Apple. Apple is almost at this 223. So 223, if you're remembering, was a bit of selling on Friday, 3 times at the close-ish, but certainly in the middle of the day. And then you had it again at about 130. There were some good areas to go short on Apple. Essentially all day long was waiting for it to really test the 223. Well, it's getting there now. So those highs on Friday were 223 and a third. If we can get back to that, still want to look short on Apple. It's underneath that 50 period on the daily. Again, I think, if this whole thing about Buffett getting up for tax reasons is true, then there's going to be an opportunity, I think, to get back into this one. But underneath that 50 period, all things in perspective, obviously, with regard to Apple, though, when you make those types of highs. But at least for today, looking for that 223 is short. It's also another stock that went green to red and is now right back, and then red to green and then right back at it. So looking for that 223 short and looking for that Funware sympathy play to DJT.
All right. All right. So I've now paid for shorts. They're like 60 cents. No, 30 cents for 1,000 shares. Like it went basically free for SMCI. So I feel a little silly paying for them. We got to pay for them. Pay to play right there on SMCI. So we're going to do that right now. If it does break below this 25.80 level, I'm going short. So I am going short. That is something I'm going to do. Going short through that level. So hopefully that will come through for us and we'll be able to discuss that a little bit more if it does come in. And the reason why, underneath the 200, underneath VWAP, underneath the 50 period, market relatively flat, obviously been doing nothing here for about an hour and a bit on the NASDAQ. So we'll just take a weak name short. We don't need to do anything. We're already $4 in the money on Tesla. We're 40 cents short on Palantir ahead of earnings. We talked a little bit about that here today. I just think it's so easy for a stock that's up 140% this year, that has all the catalysts that Palantir has had, for this stock to go down. It can still beat and go down. So we'll wait. We have trimmed a little bit on this play. So hopefully Palantir will be something that we can look at. We will look at it tomorrow. That is for sure. And join Neil tonight as they'll have that report, I believe, pretty early with Win as well. And there's a few other names that are reporting there. So Roblox, again, another move back down 2%. We'll see if Roblox can hold this $50 level. So we are going to go back right now to Jim and edgeTI. So let's go see what that looks like. Jim, thank you so much for holding on with us there, and we do apologize. This is what happens in the business, you know. Sometimes
Live TV.
the markets are so hot, they burn up our lines, and
People are trying to keep me from getting the word out.
That's it. See,
It's a conspiracy. The markets are rigged. They're rigged.
all right, Neil, go ahead and let's begin this.
Yeah, first we wanted to give everyone a chance here, Jim, just to let everybody know what edgeTI is all about and why we need to be talking about it again. CTRL over there on the CSE and the venture here in Canada.
Sure, thank you. Edge is a software company headquartered in Washington, D.C. We offer a digital platform. It's a subscription-based software platform. It is called operational awareness, people have called it, but in today's world, it's often referred to as what is called a digital twin. And a digital twin, not to get technical, is basically a virtual representation of a physical object. So in reality, though, in layman's terms, we're going to call this a operational awareness platform. People can make decisions. We provide the right information to the right people at the right time.
So why don't you give us a little bit of an example here, Jim, of you know, how would someone use edgeTI? And you know, I understand exactly what you're talking about. We're going to compare you to maybe some other companies here and see what it looks like. But your stock is up huge, man. 40 cents from August. I have the daily chart right here. This was a 45-cent name all the way up to $1. What has helped catapult this stock?
I mean, honestly, we've been keeping things kind of quiet. We did a fully subscribed private placement that we closed about a month ago. We have received, if you're familiar with Gartner, they're the largest technology industry analyst firm. We've received in the last 90 days probably 20 mentions, recommendations from Gartner. That in itself is a validating point of what we did. The other is we received a $950 million IDIQ contract from the United States Air Force, which has gotten people's attention.
That's you know, the way this world's going, it makes a lot of sense that we need these government contracts, right? I mean, we've actually talked about it, and when I was reading through the notes, I'm a little sad. I don't know if you've seen the show too much before, but you see this hat right here? It says Palantir investor. I want to be an edgeTI investor, but I also noted as well that you guys have 40% ownership inside. So I think that that's really important. Explain to us why that's important. That amount of ownership. You just talked about that private placement as well.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, I'm the largest individual shareholder as well. So I can appreciate where everybody's coming from. It's myself and a private equity fund that are the largest group shareholders. That is why there's so much inside ownership. We believe in the company where it came from. It started off as a consulting business working for nothing but the top secret and intel space for the United States government. We took this platform, modernized it, made it subscription-based, and we have a product that is TRL9, which is the most secure DoD network in the world, as the United States secure DoD network. But the idea being, we believe in the company, and in the long run, we believe that this will be a significant value. If you look at it, just think of your own life today. No one is saying, boy, if I just had more information, my life would be easier. That is not the case. You are overrun with information. Right. What you're trying to do is, how can I use the information that's available to me to make better decisions? And that is the very thing we do. That is what Palantir does. That is why we're compared as a mini Palantir.
So, Jim, if I can jump in here, Jim. There's a bit of an event happening tomorrow in the U.S., which I mean, some people are probably paying attention to. And
yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, so we seem to have noticed it as well. Kind of moving stocks around a little bit here as it tends to. But I think there's a lot of people are looking at, okay, well, what are some trades for before and after the election? Maybe could you speak to the importance of the foundation of defense being part of, obviously, the deals that you're reaching? As something that's kind of agnostic, and I mean, not to play politics, but if there's one thing that happens regardless of who's in power, it's that defense spending pretty much stays intact regardless of what anybody says.
Yeah, from our standpoint, you know, we aren't picking sides here. Our goal is to make our nation more secure, help war fighters to make decisions that are impacting human lives, and seconds matter. So from our standpoint, you know, some of the programs that we're involved in an advanced battle management system, which is tying together different branches of the military's various information systems so warfighters can make decisions more quickly. The other, we're involved in a program for the United States Navy in the South Pacific that allows visibility into logistics, contested logistics for vessels for the Navy. So you can imagine when you got to refuel, you got to get more ordnance. Where are those fuel ports? Where is ordnance? What are secure? What is the social sediment in those locations? You know, you have that information available. The challenge is there's so many thousands of systems, and we are tying that together, and we are generally delivering these solutions in 90 days or less.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. And again, like we said, you don't have to really pick any sides to understand that, hey, you know, those are important functions that are not going anywhere, especially in this geopolitical climate. One more question for you, and I'm wondering if you can maybe put on your hat for just AI, the industry in general, information, decision making, and when we talk about the amount of spend that is going in, a lot of companies have been spending a lot for this new wave of AI. And I think the capital expenditures, for some people, it's like, oh my goodness, but look how much is getting spent here, and they like it a little bit more trim. So can you maybe just talk to why it's so important in the growth stage for companies like yourselves or even others in the space to engage in this? And while it might take a little bit of a longer runway in terms of looking for those, that growth and that profitability, but the spend's so important at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the marketplace that we're in is called digital twin, and it's a newer term by Gartner and industry analysts, but the projected growth on that is 61% compound annual growth CAGR, and it is either the number one or number two fastest growing sector in technology over the forecasted for the next 8 years. But in layman's terms, what does that mean? People and organizations that have complex operations have invested hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to get information. And what Edge is ultimately doing, and the way we can help with this, is we are connecting directly to the sources of data. We're providing the information to the people who need to make decisions based on timeliness, security, financial transactions, revenue, cost, profit, safety. And we're doing that very quickly. So ultimately, if you're not involved in helping making things easier, just adding more products and technology to the clients is not really helping. And we're trying to de-risk what is generally a very risky situation.
All right, Jim, here comes the question. 50 million market cap. You've had a huge run from August, but I'm not in the stock, So what are we looking forward to now? What is the next step? Anything coming on in the new year? Anything you're looking forward to? Anything you can tell us about? Anything the company's working on so that we can sort of get behind edgeTI here and get this name, through that? I mean, I would love to see a stock through $1. I think that gives you the legitimacy. We'll see what winds up happening with support in and around that level. So what exactly, and it's taken a while, right? Like Palantir, for example, IPO direct listed around $9, went up to 40, then came back in and fell below that, went into the $7 mark. Not only when they started to proof of concept and they started to get these contracts, was then they started giving 6, 7 EBITDA quarters in a row, then added to the S&P 500 because it's simply working. So what is the next 6 to 12 months looking like for Edge?
Yeah, I mean, what we're going to do is we're going to expand upon these opportunities that we already have. I mean, we have clients like the United States Department of Veterans Affairs,
okay,
the $41 billion annual budget. We have a 5-year, $1 million annual contract with them. As an example, that is a very high barrier to entry to get to do business with those types of organizations. We're going to look to expand upon that. We're going to look to expand upon the Air Force IDIQ that we won. We're going to look to expand upon the Navy opportunity. With our raise, we're going to bring in some more channel partners. If you can imagine, we're still a small organization, but you look at any of these federal systems integrators, they have thousands of people in the field winning business. And we've spent all our funds to this point modernizing and making our technology reliable. I think just with Gartner industry analysts, with the awards we've received, validates us. And now it's time to put a little gasoline on this. We haven't really put much into the market. We're going to spend money on awareness. We're going to spend money on bringing the correct advisory board together and growing our partners and existing opportunities. That's what it's all about.
All right, Jim, promise us you'll come back. We'll discuss this maybe in the next couple of months. We'll see what happens after election and as you get more and more clients on board. I mean, I know Neil and I like that kind of stuff. Government talk. Like, you know, the government doesn't run out of money. And if they do, what do? They print more, Jim.
Yeah.
They print more.
Yeah.
So I like the space. I like what we're talking about right here. And edgeTI, CTRL over on the venture exchange. So, you know, anything here for the viewers? I mean, I think you've been absolutely great. Promise us you'll come back on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Sean.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
There
Thank you
is.
so much there, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jim Barrett from edgeTI. Go check those out. CTRL over on the venture exchange. And always, look, I mean, we've seen many marijuana stocks, especially in the last 10 years, that started off on these smaller exchanges and then blasted forward, right? All you get is approval. You start to get talks about it. I like that name. And I mean, I've liked Palantir for a while. AI is what it's all about. So if you're all about AI and looking to see that next thing, because we could all invest in, you know, Chevrons and XOM.
Yeah,
but guess what?
They're boring.
But the thing is,
I find go ahead.
I was going to say, it's these companies that are actually using, and I mean, he talked about government contracts and stuff like that, but as companies get smarter and smarter and find use cases for this kind of software, that's when the contracts start coming in. And then as soon as a company can make money off of it, like when XOM can figure out how to drill more efficiently or how to search for the oil better.
Just defensive.
Alex Karp was on there talking about, like, and again, a little bit warmongering and things like that, but talking about Palantir and how if we're going to shoot to kill. And I hate talking like that, but that's what it's all about. It's about being accurate and making sure that you're doing the right things. And with more information comes, you know, more success. So we'll cheer them on and we'll check back with them very soon. CTRL on the Venture Exchange.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And again, we talk about this as like an emerging space, and at the end of the day, it's all going to be about growth, like that 61% growth. I mean, you want addressable markets, and this is not the harp. And again, this segue is not in any shape or form a knock on DJT, but when we talk about it from a fundamental standpoint, it's like, what's the business? Like, what's the future here? So DJT, which was running, and I think will probably still run depending on the results tomorrow, at the end of the day, like, the reason it gets drops like this is because it's like, okay, well, what is next? And if it's not a squeeze play, what is it going to be? And I think you want to find something which has a little bit more substance to it. Now, DJT is getting close to VWAP, so I know we're looking for a VWAP bounce here, ideally, on DJT, but it's starting to just at a 34 to 33 drop. Fun is starting to come down. I mean, it being SSR is kind of, I think DJT, it doesn't matter. Like, it being short sell restricted means, like, when it consolidates, you're trying to pick up shares in the consolidation by sitting on the offer and essentially just trying to be run over. Ideally, it's literally the only way you can get in, which does mean that sometimes when it's working, you're not going to get the fills that you want. When it's short sell restricted. That's just par for the course. It is what it is. So I got literally like a quarter of what I was trying to get here on Funware as that pulls into VWAP. But I think as long as DJT is falling, then Fun is likely to head to the downside as well. The market, I mean, let me just pull up a 15-minute on the market so you can see what's happening here. I say we, I mean the NASDAQ is at least underneath VWAP and starting to roll back over. Bit of a downward trend since that morning high and running into some support at 20,120. But it's not a huge move whatsoever. If we do get a break, remember that 20,000 has held. 20,000 held on Friday very, very nicely. 20,000 held on Thursday. 20,000 essentially held this morning, although it wasn't a direct test. So you do have, even with a pullback, we do have a pretty big support level on the NASDAQ, which might prevent us from going too far to the downside. On the big cap tech names, I should say. I mean, NVIDIA is above VWAP. Apple, I mean, the market just showed a little bit of a rollover. Apple's still at the high of the day, which is crazy because it's down 0.1%. What a weird day. It's kind of a weird day. You have to ignore the percentages sometimes because the stock that's down is at the high of the day, and Apple, one of the strongest out there.
I feel like this is like I'm wearing the Palantir hat, but I'm short Palantir. Like, it feels like
It's blasphemy is what it really is.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I feel like this is something that, you know, maybe I should take this off, but we're getting flatter and flatter here on Palantir. Again, you know, day trading, and actually, I was going to say, like, it's kind of on point here because you have to separate. You know, you have to separate your long term, especially when you are being a prop trader or you are a prop trader. like what I am, and we all are here that trade at Real Trading. By the way, go check out. Oh yeah, here. You know what? Let's go over what the numbers were at Real Trading. I'll get those in a second for you. See who put up what numbers on Friday. I was not here, so I'm interested to see what these numbers do look like. Of course. But again, distinguish between the two, right? I mean, I would love for Palantir to have a huge quarter here and absolutely rip up. We are just trading off of what we saw. And this is why we wrote down into here $42 to get short on Palantir. It happened twice. Bingo, bango.
Bongo.
Got it. There to the downside. And there it is, man. 3 for 3 today, Intel, Palantir, and Tesla. But again, it's just about trading off of your own book, but using it as levered day trades, right? I mean, we sit here and we're able to put in money and then take it out immediately. And we have to be flat at the end of the day at 4 o'clock. So at 4 p.m. roughly, we're flat. So this is something that we're going to wait out for here on PLTR and hopefully get this move back a little bit lower. But just to let you guys know, I'm in about less than 10% of what we have left on Palantir and about like 5% left on Tesla. I'm just waiting to see if Tesla falls down completely. I'm actually going to put a bid at 243.50. Might as well do that right now. I mean, we are into the hour of power. And this is going to be, I'm going to cancel my 243. That's what we're waiting for. Let's just up it right now, get a little bit more there and see if we can get that bid coming through now for Tesla. If it does come in, we'll bid right down here, 243.50 and change. YOLO calls or YOLO puts on PLTR, says Starbest. Well, if you're YOLOing anything, then I would go long because, I mean, I really think that the chance that Palantir puts up a number that beats expectations, I think is great. I think they can also guide forward. I mean, you know, with election uncertainty, it's actually really interesting that they come out, and I don't think, I don't think there's anything planned on this or anything like that, but, with all this uncertainty and data is going to come into question. I mean, Trump is already talking about like the election basically being rigged even before it's even happened. So I feel like as data comes into question, as people start questioning the validity of these things, you're going to need intelligence to sort of figure this whole thing out. It's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you. I was watching something yesterday that each individual county is responsible for counting up. Like there's no federally acceptable way of accumulating and then calculating and counting the true winners of all of this. Like some states will use this technology, some will use others. Some have old ladies counting ballots, some have computers. Like it's just a matter of, and I don't care which way it is. This is not a political stance by any stretch of the imagination, but as we get more and more comfortable with artificial intelligence and be able to trust it more, hopefully solutions whereby we won't be questioning some of these results will be there. But I think that will always be there. So yeah, a stock like Palantir, again, and again, thanks for the question. I just think if they're going to talk very, very sort of like, all right, the way this world's moving, I could really see us expanding, like getting more contracts, like Israel, Iran. Like, I mean, Donald Trump has come right in and talked, quite frankly, about he's going to pick up the phone and call Putin, and those guys are out of Ukraine the next day. Is that what's going to happen? He said, if I'm in charge, this Israeli thing never happens. Okay, well, it's been happening for 500 years or whatever it is, so let's see if he can fix this. So I just think the more and more we go, the more important actual statistical and proven things are going to matter. And Palantir and a company like that, edgeTI, that we just had on, those are the companies that you're going to look for moving forward. But anyways.
I wouldn't be surprised. This is just a little
make
segue.
Spiders great again, yeah.
No, nobody said that.
Ozan did. Ozan always wants this too.
No, he said make SPY.
Yeah, SPY.
Yeah.
SP500.
See, there's this thing with Obi where Obi only says, he only calls the SPY spiders. And the arachnid, just to get on me because, the whole spider. It's literally... No, I know. He does it. Obi does it on purpose.
My daughter's now really proud. She will go and she's like, Daddy, let me get that spider. I'm like, I'm trying to teach them not to kill these things.
Yo, if Gia wants to come up, I had to kill one again this morning. Like every time in the morning, whenever there's
killed, dispose of.
No, I don't.
That's what we use in our in our household. We disposing of these things. We don't kill anything.
I unfortunately kill them. You can't trick me with it twice. Like now that I know
kill them as well.
No, they do the fake thing there and try to scare me.
Let me see it.
They got me last.
I saw it. I saw one of those YouTube videos.
I know you got me last time, but you're not gonna get me twice with the same gag. Like fool me once. There's a whole thing about that I'd probably bungle if I tried it. No, you wouldn't even think about eating one.
No,
not even a little bit.
Like a spider that size?
No,
I'm not. I'm talking about killing disposing of those house ones that are like, they're almost see-through. You know the ones I'm talking about? Those are the ones.
Yeah, the little tiny, anyways.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, so just one thing. Tesla's losing support here.
Yeah, it is.
So I have a trail that I'm just going to move, and the trail, secretly enough, was at 246. Now the trail is underneath 244. Actually, just like, see like this little consolidation bottom in here, it's like the 3/4 mark. So like 234, essentially 3/4 is going to be the trail on Tesla. Funware is bouncing off VWAP because VWAP is VWAP, and DJT.
Wait a minute, VWAP is what?
VWAP. I mean, VWAP is just
Got it.
I don't know, like trending stocks tend to find some bids at VWAP. So when DJT finds one, although it doesn't get to VWAP, Funware did. So just going back over, I have both of these up. So when I saw that bounce starting to happen on DJT, I got some more out at Funware at 667 here. I was able to get another fill, just popped on the bid, and it's slowly reverting back. So I'm going to give this, I'm still giving it to 690. That can change if DJT just starts blowing out the top again. I'll just punch out of this thing. But pulling back into VWAP is Funware. And there was something else I wanted to get to. Yeah, Apple, it doesn't look like it's going to make that push right into 223. Feeling like it's running out of steam here on Apple. Strong name, relatively speaking. I know it's down on the day, but I mean, come on, the market's starting to roll over, and this is only now just coming off of its high. So trail on Tesla might not get a second crack. If DJT keeps on going the way that it is here, it might not get a second crack at that VWAP, but if this starts breaking back out, I'm just going to punch out of Funware as DJT catches yet another bid. Oh, this is a good question.
Oh.
Ari Pages, how many calories do we day traders burn analyzing stocks 8:30 to 4? I will tell you this right now.
I don't think any, do we?
None. If anything, it's the absolute opposite.
Like
And
eyes back and forth.
No, like it's not enough strain, it's not enough activity, and I've found that when I have to compensate for the fact that I'm sitting in a desk all day long in front of screens by doing lots of hip mobility, trying to be active. Sean goes to the gym every single day. I have not been as active since my Achilles injury, and I've really felt the difference. Like I have all kinds of like tightness everywhere in the hips and IT bands and stuff. Day traders, man, like it's. At the end of the day, it's a sedentary job. When I look at my stress monitor, like my heart rate doesn't even go all that crazy, to be honest with you. The only times it even gets any kind of a spike is usually like on a Fed day, maybe. Like you get a little bit of a spike. And I actually spike more on my heart rate drinking coffee than I do at any actionable day in trading. And it's obvious. Like the first thing I notice is on my heart rate indicator on my Whoop is when I start drinking coffee in the morning, more so than when the market opens. But no, it's a different type of stress, but it's not the kind that tires you out per se. Although if you hit too many keys, I can get a little carpal. I guess that's a workplace hazard.
Yeah, carpal tunnel is.
I've had bad bouts with that. It's not as bad now. But.
Okay, so when we were doing laps in the pool today, it looks like we spiked up to about like 100 or so there today. Throughout, I don't know, it's hard to, anyway, it doesn't matter. 100, not really. In the morning, pretty relaxed. Looks like it's been pretty consistent. But yeah, good question, Ari Pages. I think that's important. I think part of why I like to go out during the midday, and I've always gone for those walks, and I've always done things like that, is just because, A, to get away from all of this, and B, because I don't really, this might come across bad, but I don't really care too much about like everybody else. I care about their opinion on stocks, but not necessarily about the trades, because I feel like it's important that you stay focused into what you're doing. And sometimes I'll sit here, and this, I don't mean other people around here or other people that are watching. It's just sometimes you're watching something, you're hearing something, it might look like a good idea. You get over there, and the next thing I know, like I'm just sitting here in the midday. It could be happening now. It could be happening at any time. It doesn't matter the time of day. It's just when I'm on, I want to be on, and I want to be sitting here, and I want to be focused on trading stocks. If I'm just sitting here like a little bored or listening to the midday or listening to Neil talk, it's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And I get in and I start making the trade, but then I look back, it's like, it didn't really fit my parameters. And then I look back, it's like, oh God, now I'm down like more on this than I've made on Tesla today. What am I doing? And it sort of wrecks some of that feel. So for me, it's about like trusting what you're doing, staying focused, which is why I've always gone for those walks, just to get away, because I know who I am, and I know, you know, the numbers that we're putting up and all that kind of stuff, and I want to stay in that zone. So despite hearing right now, which appears to be very, very loud drilling happening in and around our office,
hopefully you guys
I think
can't hear
focus, working out, eating properly, like all of those things, and it doesn't, like, we are obviously not high performance athletes, but you're trying to be focused. And even like a truck driver, anything like that, like if you're sitting down all day, sort of got to get up and doing stuff. Like we're not all like Fabian over here jumping up and down ladders all day and risking their life. I mean, this guy, and by the way,
that was a violation of safety.
Fabian definitely won Halloween, man, with that.
Oh, that was, yeah, that he destroyed
and
it.
I am very, very jealous of his
it.
hair. I don't, you should see my son's hair, man. This guy looks like a freaking rock star right now. I'll take a picture of him later on. He has hair growing everywhere. He flips it up like this. I don't know if he's doing it in my face because I can't flip up shit. All right, someone else with nice hair, Adara.
Keep an eye here on GOVX and some of these other sympathy plays with regards to MPOX. EBS is another one I'm seeing rock pop up here. We know SIGA. We don't have a ton of volume on these. GOVX, I'm seeing under 500,000 shares traded on the day, but moving steadily higher here after Sky reporting that there have been more new Clade 1B strain cases detected in the UK. So more MPOX-related cases in the UK here. Keep an eye on these MPOX sympathy plays like GOVX, EBS, and SIGA.
I'd like to announce that we do have Roaring Kitty in the building. Hey, what's going on, Keith? How's everything going?
Why'd you sell Chewy?
Oh, damn. We said it wasn't biting.
Come on, we didn't even plan that.
It was like some Joe Biden stuff. You didn't see that, Ramin? Some little baby who was dressed up as a turkey.
Yeah.
Look, man, you know that whole that whole stuff? Honestly, that's where I feel like the press, everybody's getting, like, that's grandpa doing grandpa things, man.
Yes.
Honestly, I'm not saying like if I was president, I'd be going around biting like little kids' toes and stuff like that, but that's some cute stuff. Like
you wouldn't?
I know. Maybe I ask for permission, but I like that's, you know, like, it's cute. No, I don't know. I love babies. Oh.
Everybody loves babies.
And you know that skin, like, you know.
Ramin doesn't like babies? Really?
Ramin can have
that's strike
Ramin
one.
Can have
Ramin.
a lot of kids, boy. You watch.
That's
you watch
strike
that.
one.
Okay.
Yet you don't.
Okay, that's enough for me. This is Travolta's like, come on, man. What's this girl talking about?
Everyone likes babies.
Over there. Everyone likes kids.
Like babies.
Everyone likes kids, right? Brendan, right? Sharif, where are those guys? Okay, so here we go. This is who's making money. All right, get rid of that. Who made that stupid gif? Okay, here we go. Amex. This is top traders from Friday, and it was a yay of a day for this person. Amex, the CME, NASDAQ, and NYMEX. So what we're showing here, these are the top 10 traders that are at Real Trading, which is the prop firm that Neil and I have been working for 20 plus years. And we just post out, no lies, is just scraped from the database right here. And unfortunately, we don't put the top 10 minus names, but traders lose money as well. And what these are the markets traded. So this is not where they're located or anything like that. It's an entitlement-based system here. So depending on what markets you want, you can join, you can go in and trade Paris, or we've often seen Vienna on here. And we're going to go through the list in a minute, although from now, I don't see anybody on here other than North American names. But all right, so Amex, so my guess would that be SPYs. The CME would be futures contracts. So we have oil futures, which would be NYMEX. Over here on the CME, we have NASDAQ futures. I don't want to speak about all the futures that we have because we keep adding them. So anyways, talk to your trading floor development member and they'll let you know. And there's also booklets to have all this, but S&P 500, NASDAQ futures coming into play, and the NASDAQ as well. And then there's someone just alone. And this is what I mean by focusing. Shout out to Hey Davis and everybody there for real life lesson of the day. What I just talked about 10 minutes ago, rewind that. I think it's important. And then there it is, Amex and NASDAQ. Then again, someone else on Canadian markets only. And unfortunately, there's nobody else down here. 3,000 is actually quite low for number 10, 3,200, 34, 34. But, you know, day after Halloween, I could see that there was a little bit of a hangover there. And a little strange because I would have thought with Apple and Amazon and all that those numbers could have been a little bit higher, but you never know what traders are looking at. So that would be an example of who's making what money here. Not who, but what kind of money traders are making. All right. I don't know if you're still in Tesla. You are. I can see now.
I just moved my trail. The only thing I've changed.
But again, you know, and it's actually important. Neil talked about this with sort of having those trades early and you know, just not working out, but sticking with the name.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
think that's important. Is like you're going to get stopped out. We make so many calls every day that it's like some trades aren't going to work out. Now, it's really awesome when you go 3 for 3 and it's a big day and everything's all groovy. But sometimes you look over. Rarely, I'm going to be honest, you guys can go track this. These sticky notes are up on my social media, at TraderTV Sean, both on Twitter, X, and on Instagram. You can go back and look at all of these plays if you want to. Rohit, I forget who it was in the chat, mentioned that he had gone over them all. Maybe you're still in the chat. Maybe you can post it. I have not. Maybe I should throw all these, just take pictures of them and throw them into ChatGPT and see what it says. It's probably going to say, what kind of writing is this? But you know, and again, just make sure that you track it because we don't show our P&Ls or anything like that, but I feel really strongly about it, which is why I keep putting them out. We're going to go 3 for 3 on the ideas, and the only ones that missed were Apple 223. Didn't miss. I didn't trade it today. Where's Apple? So we want to short 223 on Apple. So it's actually right here, right now. If this was more like 10 o'clock, we probably would take this trade. Heading into after hours, no. We said Intel long. Like, you know where we wrote down Intel? 22. We wrote down here 22 and a quarter for Intel long. So that's 22 and a quarter right there. Bang. Top stock again. We're not here. That would have been a great reload opportunity. Great opportunity there. Tesla short. Obviously, we've gone over that. Palantir short. Like, we wrote down Palantir short 42. Like, where's that crystal ball? Like, we don't have it. We just doing work. And there's 42 twice for Palantir. Bang, bang. So the Earth is flat. Oh, no.
Who said the Earth is flat?
Earth has a history of warming, and cooling.
That's a little random. I know there was a question in the chat about SMCI in the earnings. You know what? Ryan Rowe just asked, when does SMCI report? And you know what? I'll just answer it out loud. I just pulled it up. It's 4:20 tomorrow night. So we're expecting earnings. Of course, it's 4:20. Like, why? Seriously? That's fine.
Well, no, I think it has nothing to do with that.
It has literally nothing to do with that. But yeah, tomorrow at 4:20. That's a big one. And obviously, it's not just because, it's not because the investigations. It's not just because the threat that if they didn't, they were going to have to go. They were going to get delisted. Like, this is also, just from a technical standpoint, a company that, and this isn't split adjusted, so bear with it. It doesn't really matter. You're at fresh lows. This is something. It's right back into the January bottoms effectively. Like down here, and this is like 270 is $27, but the support here is 25. Is this stock that essentially went 5x and gave it all back, all within a calendar year, when it also got added to the S&P 500. So this is a pretty monster report. I think what's crazy, like if it's really, really bad, one of the things that we should start thinking about is if they were to come out, who'd go in? Because if things get worse for SMCI, and I don't think a stock has ever been in the S&P 500 that short of a time, but if it were to happen, like, who would go in is going to be an interesting question to be asked. And I'm not saying they're going to get booted. I'm just saying if the report is ugly here. SMCI underneath VWAP, outside of if you had to trade off VWAP, you could take this. I don't really see much of anything. Fun, which I mentioned, had bounced off VWAP when DJT bounced. I'm just going to show you here. DJT goes back up to the same prior high, 34. Funware goes to a lower high at 675. It's just that it's a little bit weaker, and because of that, I like being in it more. So if I wanted to break VWAP at this point, I feel like if you go back to VWAP on DJT, you're breaking VWAP on Funware. I'm sitting in front of 655 here. Someone asked, there was another question in there that I missed. Unfortunately, I'll get back to it because someone asked me something about Antigua. I just have to find it again. That's my bad.
All right. Look, man, only 30 minutes left in the day. So I still have that same trade locked and loaded, and it's going to be my next one. So by the way, we got out of that Tesla. Not out of it, but we took an out right there for $5. So now let's wait to see where it's going here. Hopefully lower. We're $5 in the money right now. And we already took a $5 trade right there. We also had $3 on the short side of things. So Tesla, PL1 today. I did want to go over that SMCI break because, again, we could talk about it, but I'm actually going to trade it if it breaks right through there. I'm still fine. I don't really care what the time is. I mean, if it's like 3:48, maybe I won't take this. But, I mean, if it breaks it now, we'll take it with momentum to the downside. I don't even really want to. Normally, I'd be like, hey, let's just short it here. We have this 26 as protection. I want to see it take the low, not just the low of the afternoon. I want to, and that's 80s, right? So if it breaks, we almost got in right there when we were, what time was that? Ooh, that was like 20 minutes ago. So our break is 80s. If it breaks 80s, I'm in. So that would have been bad. So good thing we didn't get into that right there. If it does break, I will be using the 50-period moving average as our out, roughly there. So I like SMCI here. Not down that much, though, man. Only down 0.5%. I think it's going to be interesting, as Neil just mentioned there, as we'll wait to see when and if those reports actually do come out, as Ernst & Young has flew the coup with that company. So, all right, what's up, Fliffy Hippo? I mean, I've hired over 1,000 traders and traveled all over the world, pretty much answering this exact question, which is why I get paid the big bucks. Not really. What are the advantages of joining a prop trading floor if I already meet the funds required to avoid the PDT rule and I'm consistently profitable on my own? Then don't do it, honestly. I wouldn't. The advantages of joining it is just more capital. I have ability to trade in the M's. So if you do, that's great. So it's just leverage. It's trying to get more shares on those ideas. Like Fluffy Hippo, this is it. If I already meet the funds required, right? So it's like, it's up to you. How much risk are you putting in? Like sometimes I won't trade millions of shares all of the time or anything like that, or notionally. It's about understanding, are you looking for more? You know, if your strategy is paying off, then why not take it to that next level and trade with $1 million rather than 100,000, you know? And then at the same time, the downside of that would be you're only paying for fees when you trade on your own, which is great. But when you're on a prop floor, the fact that you have access to that capital is going to cost you. And normally we talk about it that with real trading, again, you can join it. Go to realtrading.com. Everything's explained right there. If you're trading at offices, your pay can start at 50%, 40%, 70%, whatever it is. You got to go over and check it out. And we talked about this with Trade the Pool. The ad read was 70% payout, and I think they were based on different promotions and whatnot. So I think that's the advantage, really.
There's one small advantage.
Yeah, go, yeah.
It may be like, so what the wash trade rule is for most of you retail traders and what it is for prop is entirely different. But the wash trade rule, you don't have to worry about. Like I think that can be a big advantage. But like Sean said, I mean, if you already have the capital and you're already successful, a lot of the advantages don't necessarily apply to you if you're past the PDT. But yeah, the wash trade rule may be one reason to get around it. And again, I don't think there's too much else to it. But one advantage we have on this show in terms of providing you information, and which is free, by the way, so you don't have to pay anything for this, is that we get to see what's going on in different sectors with the Barrett at the screen.
Take a look here at the largest movers to the upside and downside in the S&P 500, as we do every day around 3:30, about half an hour until this session and power hour end. So we usually like to have a bit of a theme for this. Today's theme is going to be, especially because this is a Monday, what sectors and stocks are going to be on watch this week that are already making big moves today. We're going to kick things off here with XOM, basically at day's highs. Exxon here, Mobil, and basically all of these energy names to the upside. Not only did a lot of these names, including Exxon, have earnings late last week, but they're also on watch here as we have tensions in the Middle East continuing to heat up. So XOM up about 3%. Now, same catalyst, but the other side of the coin is going to be UAL, United Airlines, and a lot of these other travel names. Keep an eye on cruise lines like CCL or NCLH. Also keep an eye on other airlines like AAPL here. So we have UAL to the downside as we have an increase in oil prices, because then we have these travel companies having to spend more on oil. They tend to push to the downside. So if these tensions ease up, keep an eye maybe for a flip in these types of names. And last but not least, we have here some strength in solar. This is FSLR, but ENPH also would be on watch here. These solar names we know are really impacted by rates, and with the FOMC meeting on Thursday, that rate decision could certainly move some of these tickers. So here are just a few of the sectors and names to keep an eye on as we head for what should be an exciting catalyst-packed week, guys.
First Solar FCell also today.
Yes.
And not only is it drill baby drill in oil patches and whatnot, it's also drill baby drill here at Trader TV Live, because again, we do have some construction happening around us. So if you do hear any of this, can any of you hear any of that? If not, then I'll just stop talking about it. Oh, they can. Okay. Says Ramin, they can. So, all right. Anyways, I just want to say we apologize for any of those noises. If you do hear any right now, speak louder. No, Ramin.
We're not going to yell, Ramin. Oh, you guys can hear? Can I get Rich Irvin's? I'm going to get to Rich Irvin's question here, because we had a couple of questions about Viking Therapeutic. And I think anytime...
That is loud.
Oh, my goodness, that is loud. So, look, a couple of things about Viking. So they had a positive result on one of their trials, and it gets sold off. And one of the things that'll happen a lot of times when you have a pharmaceutical company where it's all in essentially on one or two ideas, and for them it's the GLP, the oral GLP, is even when you have a good result, the news gets sold because everyone's excited about it. So I like this for a long-term play. And I think a lot of times you have to have, so just to give you a bit of a background for myself personally, like I like investing in things like, we were just talking about Chevron and energy, and I have some like safer dividend names in there. And that balance in the portfolio allows me to always have 5% in what I like to call shot plays. Whether they work or not, you know, like I had Alibaba as a shot play. Now I actually not even categorizing it that. I just think it's in my long term, and I just like it. But I'll have things like Sofi in there and Rivian. And Viking is that kind of a play for me. So I put it in there as a shot play. Now, so as far as I'm concerned, if I wasn't in it, I would be looking to buy a bounce off the 200 period moving average. But you shouldn't be terribly surprised when a pharma name or bio name has a positive result and the news gets sold off. And we talked about this with Raider on Friday in the aftermarket show. They do not have the money right now to go full bore production, even if they get approvals. They're not that big. So they're going to need to either raise funds, even if things go well, or they're going to need to be a takeout target. So it's still a long-term play here for Viking. It's a long road. It's just that the upside seems tremendous because we all know what GLP can be. And that's sort of the idea. When you're investing in these, you've got to understand that they are shot-type plays. It was no different from when Biogen would go nuts. Oh my goodness, AMD, shoot. Yeah, AMD's rolling over rather heftily to the downside. The only thing I can do is move the trail here because Tesla came up into the prior support, did not break it, and now you've broken down. So trail moving $1 away from that level to that level there it's like 242 3/4. And I'm still, I don't know, kind of, when it was at VWAP, I put a bid in front of 240 because that's an obvious, I think, support level this afternoon. I think you're going to bounce off that 240, but it is starting to come in close. Going to have to move the trail in there, guys.
Damn, Palantir. I mean, we're short $42. There it goes, right into there. 3 names, 3 for 3. We had an accident with the trophy, so I can't raise it. But trophy day today. You're welcome, Fluffy Hippo. I mean, and this is what real trading is all about. You know, stick with your guns. You know, what's up, Fluffy Hippo? There's another $10 right here. Thank you for your. If I'm ever not giving honest responses, then I'm not coming in anymore. You know, I'm trying to be, about the trading, about everything. So I appreciate that, Fluffy Hippo. Trading alone can be a lonely journey. Yeah, and that's honestly, that's how this show started. I spend all weekend talking to people with the hockey because I sponsor Trader TV Live, not I, sponsors the girls' hockey helmets. So the Trader TV Live logo is there, and people are always asking me about it. And I was sort of saying that this journey of Trader TV Live started with me talking to traders all over the world and just within our offices at Real Trading. And then only being able to talk to 3 or 4 or 5 people at once. I was talking with individual offices, individual traders, and it was wasting time. You could see we're sort of born with the gift of the gab here. And I feel really blessed that we have multiple talents. The first one is going to be trading. The second one is going to be doing all this, and it's in that order, So the thing about it is it was a waste of time spending all this time. So we did an internal feed, and that was fantastic. brought Neil on, and then now obviously I think we're employed 10 plus people here for the show, over 475,000 subscribers. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and put it up, man. If you've been here from day one and you know that we're talking like what Fluffy Hippo's talking about and making a difference in your mood and everything like that, put some ones in the chat right now. Let's get that chat engagement going, because you know Neil and I are here every single day putting up for everybody these trade ideas. And although obviously some days won't be very successful, some days are perfect days. And it's about learning and coming back tomorrow and hopping right back on there right now. So, I mean, look what Palantir's. First of all, Neil, we are now on trade idea numero, does it matter? $6 in the money right now on Tesla. And there it goes to the downside. Well talked about, well explained. We actually left this alone as it went from 245 up to 247. Thank you so much for the chat, by the way. The chat is not even slowing down right now with these ones out there. So I want to say thank you so much for all of that. Multiple ones. No, show that. Hey, I'm showing all this. I'm showing these. I'm showing that. Forget about it, Streamlabs. You're not hiding these people coming through right now. What's up, Fluffy Hippo, and everybody else going through there right now? So thank you for the engagement there on the chat. It does mean a lot to us. But it would mean a lot if you liked, subscribed, shared this information, and just kept it real with us as we do with you. So there it is right there, man. I'm P&L green today, and pretty proud to do that. Again, you can ask us at any time about these questions. We strive and thrive on those kind of things. So thank you so much for watching. Back over to my good friend Neil here. And I'm actually going to go get another coffee.
So it's 3:40 right now, which means only 10 minutes to go until we get the imbalances. I want to go over the early look. Like I said, I've already moved the trail on Tesla, but I said if DJT got back up to this top and started to look like it was going to break out, it'd be time to get out of Funware. So it's happening right now. Like, we're bouncing off VWAP on Fun. DJT is looking like it wants to make a breakout of that high. So I'm on the bid, going to tighten the stop up here and throw it at 680, just above the 680 level. So can't turn into a losing trade. Now, remember I said that the issue with this trade is it started breaking down and broke the trend line for Fun was the short sell restricted. So couldn't actually get the fill in here, had to wait for it to pop up and try to get short. So when it's short sell restricted, you kind of have to take it against you. It's easier to get filled when it's on the way up than on the way down for an SSR name, but it is starting to come back upside. You do have, oh, whoops, let me just, oh, I know what happens this chart crash. So yeah, the early look on the imbalance is not a heck of a lot of anything. Enbridge, not a big deal. Pfizer almost always pairs off. And then you're going to have FXI. And one thing I've noticed since I started putting the Amex imbalances on here, the former Amex imbalances, a mill or two here or there has not really made a very big difference. It needs to somehow still be there at 350. And every time I've seen something significant on FXI or whatever, it tends to always pair off. So keep them up just in case, but the early look is a little bit of a nothing burger. Coffee Trader saying you missed the entry on DJT, but you had a bid to try to grab it from VWAP. It's a tricky one, that DJT. I was looking at it, I think probably the same thing as you there. You're like, you liked it on DJT, on VWAP. Let's just go back over as it tries to load up here. Yeah, you missed the entry, but you had a bid at 55 and it only got 62. That's a frustrating one, and I get that. I've been there before. The number of times where a trade that I really, really like got within a couple of cents, the question you usually have to ask yourself is, okay, well, were you taking the fill at 55 because 50 was VWAP and you were just, that's my in price, and say your stop is at 32, that's the amount you wanted to risk? Or were you just kind of hoping it would be that bounce off VWAP, when really, sometimes I look back at that trade and say to myself, yeah, but there's an entry parameter for a VWAP bounce that works just as well with a tight stop. Like if you're risking 32.5 to 32, there's another trade in here, and admittedly, that's not like I took it either. I wanted VWAP as well. Like when it does this wick bottom and you get a nice confirmation here, there's an entry here at about 33.05 that you can give to that low. That's less risk than 32.5 to 32. It's only 40 to 45 cents relative to 55 to 60. So there is a VWAP bounce trade that doesn't rely on it hitting that line. Sometimes you have to find your execution strategy, which does matter. And I'll tell you this right now. It makes a huge difference. You know, the difference between these shorts off of a level and then something like this where there's your break of the high of the day, there's the higher low, and then there's the actual, okay, so the break of the high, break of the trend. Like that's one of my favorite trading setups out there, is when you're looking for a short, it went into a resistance level and then you get that short. So your execution matters a heck of a lot, and sometimes you have to be a little bit better than just put that little price in there and just hope that your price is exactly right. Let's go to the desk with Adara.
Keep an eye here on INTC. This news, it looks like initially came out about 10 minutes ago, but seeing it still circulated here on social media. And there's a little bit of increased volume here in INTC heading to the end of the day. Reuters reporting that there's a couple bids coming through for Altera's unit, or for Intel's Altera unit. Silver Lake and Bain Capital apparently both interested in multi-billion, to bidding on this multi-billion-dollar stake. Apparently Intel is targeting a $17 billion valuation for the stake. So INTC on watch here with both Silver Lake and Bain Capital looking to bid on its Altera stake, guys.
Great look there. I'm going to get to Intel in a quick little second, but had to ring the register. We talked about moving our trail on Tesla and just sort of showing, like, again, everyone has their own execution strategies. And for me, like, I have to have that trade if I'm looking short on Tesla. Like, I've got to have those trend reversal trades because that's the it gives me a reason to be in one shot and a place to get out one shot, which is entirely the way that I'm trying to trade. So I just trailed out of Tesla. Ultimately, off this 248, it's going to give you down 5.5. But that news on Intel, look, we all know Intel's trying to, like, they're trying to cut costs. They're trying to raise capital. What they want to be able to do is weather the storm. But what you can't ignore happening on Intel right now is this 50-period $22 area hold on Intel. So on my note this morning, I was like 23.5 on Intel. If you rewind, it's not rocket science because on Friday it was so obvious where the resistance was, so it was longs into that level and then it was short off of that top. And I felt at the open you were strong enough when it broke 23 to get into that 23 and a third. Intel just never got there. But it's still holding support at that 22 area. It's not the even dollar or anything like that. There's been breaks, but look at what happens when it does break. You're getting like you'll get a little bit of liquidity grab underneath, and then you'll get a V shape. Or on earnings, you'll just consolidate down there. But every time you do a dip into that price, the buying does come in eventually. With only 4 minutes to go to the imbalances, let's go back up to the desk with Adair.
This part of the show is brought to you by Firefly Neuroscience. Firefly Neuroscience has taken a bold step in advancing brain health technology. In collaboration with Bright Minds Biosciences, Firefly's innovative AI-powered platform has successfully analyzed data from a groundbreaking phase 1 clinical trial using advanced EEG technology to track brain activity. This data unlocks new potential in treating neurological and mental disorders, reinforcing Firefly's position at the forefront of brain health innovation. As they prepare for phase 2, this partnership signals exciting developments for the future of neuropsychiatric treatments. Firefly Neuroscience, shaping the future of brain health.
Very much there, Adara. Mr. Westermeyer, I did not see your request. So I see in the chat right here, D. Westermeyer, did you see my request? So let's throw it to Sean.
No.
And no, seriously, I'll search for it and I'll see the last time you chatted. But no, I didn't catch it. So you want to back out of the bet? Are you afraid that my Bills are going to run right through the Chiefs when they meet? Maybe that's what it is? No, probably.
Chiefs aren't playing that well, but
See what I'm saying?
I do. But Pacheco's coming back, hopefully. But Kareem Hunt's been really great.
Is he going to come back by that game? They played Tampa tonight. That's not going to be some easy win. It's not some easy win for the Chiefs. They're barely winning these games. Yeah. I'm not really feeling
I don't know if that's what he's talking about. Anyways, let's have a quick look at Mr. T by the D, T, J.
Oh, my goodness. I just saw it. So before we go over, you're asking,
what's he want?
Can we wish his wife, Madeline, a happy birthday? Absolutely we can. Of course we can. That's an easy one. You don't have to ask. Happy birthday, Madeline. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Mr. Westermeyer and his wife came to visit us here. We went out for drinks. He got us a Magic 8 Ball.
Why the hell are you calling him Mr.?
Because that's just it's just my thing.
Okay.
I like calling him Mr. Westermeyer.
Okay.
It just sounds, it's one of those names that sounds so very, what's the word? Like formal or like
presidential.
Hoity-toity. It just has a thing about it, like Mr.
President
Westermeyer. Yes, it's very royal, presidential sounding. So I like the whole Mr. Westermeyer. I love that we have that. No, happy birthday to your lovely wife. It was a pleasure meeting both of you. It's always fun when we get to meet our viewers, and we're so blessed.
He came down with her as well?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, that's why. Of course, you don't have to ask. We'll wish happy birthday anyone in our community.
For a small super chat.
We have so much fun engaging with all of you guys. It's an absolute blast.
All right. Well, I wouldn't know what to say, so I'll have to get that up in a couple of seconds.
I do know what to say.
Okay, do you for Trade the Pool?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we can get that going.
That happy birthday and this segment of the show brought to you by Trade the Pool, allowing traders like you to get evaluated and trade real shares using the company's capital with no PDT rule holding you back. That's a real edge in trading. Here's the exciting part. Trade the Pool has just launched a limited edition program for stock traders. For a one-time fee of just $97, you'll receive $20,000 in buying power, and all you need to do is reach the profit goal. The best part, this limited edition program now has a reduced profit goal and fewer minimum trades required to reach the funded phase. Plus, the profit split is upgraded. Keep 70% of the profits. Don't miss the chance to explore this limited offer. Join now for free. Link in the description or scan the QR code below. What happened to my Poppy? Like, this thing, I swear.
Not patriotic.
No, I swear this thing falls off all the time.
Obviously. Sometimes I'll be going on the shows. I have no idea. I don't even know how to put these things in. I always try to do it like a little bit straight,
I
a
saw
little
a
bit
hack.
down.
If you taping it on the inside is what a lot of people do.
Oh, taping it like what?
Like you pin it, but then you literally put tape on the inside to hold it.
Yeah, and then it won't go through. Okay.
I'm terrible with these.
I mean, yeah, like a little stop.
Somebody send me a video of a hack because I'm too lazy to figure it out myself.
I want, first of all, I'm making a change. I'm making a change to the show right now. Every time Ramin says something, it needs to go public. Well, I mean, you guys like that? Would it be awesome to hear Ramin's voice more often?
Yes, because Fabian doesn't mind
giving us these wicked life hacks about these poppies and everything like that, and people don't get to. Oh, okay. First of all, the imbalances are now out. We got out of some Palantir right there, so let's go. Let's spin that one right now. It is getting very, very close to Palantir earnings. Let's take some more out here at $34.34. My bad. Right there as we take some more out, and then now we wait to see
Nvidia, Apple sell.
Here. Yeah, go ahead. I don't even have them.
Nvidia 1.6 million sell. Apple 1.4 million sell. FXI actually did come out as a sell, so there you go. It actually came out as 1.7 million sell on FXI, Chinese ADR.
FXI.
Chinese ETF. Amazon, 800,000 sell. Overall, 1.8 billion to sell with the Mag 7, 510 million to the sell side. It is going to be a wild one and fun one for earnings, although some earnings names have already reported and have started to come back in. Remember, with things like HIMS reporting tonight and Palantir reporting tonight, a lot of times it's just as important where you're coming from. And we've seen this play out a lot. Really, Tesla. We've seen this play out a lot as Tesla, which had not been as strong as the rest of the names in the index, powered its way to the upside, now pulling back. But then you get names like Apple. Was there anything wrong with their report? Not really. Was there anything wrong with Microsoft's report? Not really. Was there anything wrong with Google's report? Not really. But you still saw some weakness in the aftermath after those reports. So again, a name like Palantir, like this one has been flying. And when you are flying high, no lie, you know this, then a lot of times on earnings, the play can be, you gotta be perfect. Everything has to be perfect because this stock could drop 10% and not even break trend of the 50 period. And the 200 period moving average is so far away that it's taken a while to load up on my chart. So that's all you need to know about that one. Only about 7 minutes. Like the 200 period moving average is 30% down from here. Like that tells you a lot. That's one of the, probably I have no idea what this stat is, but I'm sure if you took the S&P 500 and the names distance away from their 200 period moving average, Palantir is probably in the upper percentile. I'm not going to say something ridiculous like it's the furthest away because I don't know that to be true, but I'm going to make a educated guess that 30-something% away from the 200 period moving average, it being above, is spectacular relative to the rest of the S&P, especially SMCI.
Oh yeah. I mean, this part of the reason is why it is dark outside. I actually was just talking to the. That's it, Ramin. How do I? Fabian, come over here and tell me how I can turn off Ramin. How do I do that here? She's. No, I'm just joking. I was just looking outside, and that was the thing. I was like, you know what? I mean, I feel like, I love her as well. I want the rest of the, because also always putting on the producer hat, right? Like I'm trying to get more people to enjoy the little quips that Ramin has, and she has a lot of them, and so
all day long.
So does my guy over there, Fabian. So I was trying to instead of us relaying them, trying to get her involved there a little bit as we go. Oh, my daughter in her journey to just get everything that's forever on TikTok and all those things, she got one of those Awala water bottles. I don't know if you've heard of them before. I don't know what they are, but they are absolutely fantastic. She's been drinking it. If anything, it spurned more water drinking for her, so it's absolutely.
It's all that matters at the end of the day.
She got more of that. Now, next on her thing are real Uggs, apparently. She already has a pair. She has the rain boot Uggs. She has a mic, Sebastian. This is the thing.
Yeah, well, no,
I want Ramin to say something before the end of, so I want everyone to stay tuned. Ramin will say something to everybody by the time the show is over with. Maybe she'll
100% she will.
Maybe she'll say the close. Live. See, there's a microphone right there.
It's in front of her.
Right there. See, there it is.
For this exact reason.
See,
Fabian,
say hi at least, Ramin. Just say hi. Just say hi. No, say hi.
Say it.
I can't.
Hello.
Ramin, say hi. All right.
See, but now this is the thing. Now this is the thing.
Here we go. Now,
you know what we have to.
Now I'm starting.
You know what we have to do? We're gonna do one of those goals like we did on Friday for Over with the Benjamin.
She does have that, Ruth.
And then and then at that point, you'll see how quickly she starts answering.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Ruth is like, hey, just give her a mic. She can just pop off whenever she wants. Okay.
She already does in our ears all day long.
Right. But how are you gonna do that? You got to organize that. Fabian's like, we can trick her somehow. I'm like, how? I'm just sitting right here with my.
Well, I mean, Fabian can trick her very, very easily. We don't have I don't know. It's harder for us to do that.
board over there?
Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in that board.
If I was over there, this show would never be broadcast.
No, I've had this conversation with Fabian. It'd be much easier for him. Like, I could show you how to hit keys and buy and sell. There's so many keys there. I don't know what anything does on that board. Don't do that, man. You know you can't do that.
Tried. It was too late.
I know, trust me, like it's that's the other thing, like you get me that way. I'm afraid of spires is what it is. The imbalances all just paired off. Well, mostly. Nvidia's still 800,000 to the sell side. DJT just made a power move to 35, so it's still up. 14% now, DJT, big time runner. Okay, 13.8%. Obviously, we will keep track to see how this does after market. No reason why I think it's going to move. The big earnings name is going to be Palantir after the bell. We've got Win. We've also got HIMS, some big ones after the bell. But with only 3 minutes to go or 4 minutes to go, I got to mosey on up to the desk, I just realized. So good luck.
Okay, yeah.
We'll see you. I don't know if you have anyone going tonight. I don't need much.
I'm already 1-1. There's nothing I can do about it.
Okay. Like in one of my leagues, I need a little bit.
Kareem Hunt going tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, I got Pat Mahomes, but I don't really need him to do anything.
He hasn't been doing too much either.
He's been
But I mean, they're winning. He doesn't need to do much when they're winning.
Yeah,
Put
but
those dubs together.
I think they're overrated. I think the Chiefs.
They're not overrated.
I think the Chiefs are overrated. I'm just saying.
They're playing worse than their record.
I think they're overrated. They're overrated. Bills are going to beat them when they come to town.
The thing about the Chiefs are they've been there, done that. That's my only thing. It's once you get to the show, you have to put it up. So they've been doing that until they don't. I still think come at the king.
Where did Derek go?
Get burned sometimes. All right, we're out now. Thank you, Palantir, for doing everything we wanted you to do and more there today. Nice move to the downside. And thank every single person for watching again. It's 3:57. We do have pretty hot earnings reports coming through tonight. Let's just go over some of them right now. Let me just look at my notes to see who is reporting and when. So right now, I'll just give you the timelines here for who's reporting and when. So VRTX, we're waiting for them to come through. Of course, I don't know why I just did that. Vertex VRTX on Brazil. On the NASDAQ right there. So, wow, $473 name. Come on, Vertex. They're reporting right away at 4 o'clock. We're expecting 414 there, EPS revenue. If and when this ever loads up, you'll be able to see VRTX. So there we go there. Nice move up and then came right back in over the last little while. That's VRTX. Another name reporting tonight is my favorite casino name that I'm now pretty much all out of. That's going to be Win right here. We dumped it on that Chinese news. We just been in this name for a while, and it's been performing okay, but not fantastic. So Win right there, nice little upside move. We got some out of that. They're reporting. They're looking for $1.17 coming in at 4 o'clock. And the biggest and baddest of them all, I've been wearing this hat for almost 2+ years right now. It's Palantir. They're going to be coming out. We're long, lower than this, doesn't matter. We're looking forward, right? So I think Palantir, very risky here. I think the surprise is to the upside, but I would not be surprised if we come in and at least look at this 50-period moving average, which is around $38. I like the long better than the short heading into this. I think it's set up that we've already fallen down here 10+% on nothing. So I like Palantir to surprise higher and to beat there for PLTR. HIM's also coming through. Oh, the number they're looking for on Palantir, first of all, it's a 13% move. They're looking for an EPS estimate of 9 cents, giving them, I think, their 7th straight EPS positive quarter, which is really nice. HIM's and HERS Health coming through tonight. That is coming out at 4.05, expecting an EPS beat or EPS of 0.06. 6 cents coming through there for HIMS. And then we get to a little boring, but still doesn't mean you can't make a lot of money on Cleveland Cliffs as we talk about metals and whatnot coming through. So this is going to be an exciting name to look at here. CLF into close. Again, nice move up. A little boring in the space though. And then NXPI, as we look at semis again, NXPI semiconductors coming through. They're big into cars and autos and things like that. So pay attention to NXPI. All right. With all that being done, we do now have 20 seconds left. I want to thank everybody for joining us one more time here today. Now, my time's been off, so I'm going to use Neil's. Oh, no, I think they're accurate now. Okay, 43, 44. All right, we got the countdown coming on. I'm going to hit the button right now as we have less than 10 seconds left here. Thank you so much. You're going to have Adara once again over at the big screen. Thank you to Adara for everything today. Click that watch list. 3, 2, 1. And there it is. And that is a wrap. So thank you to everybody for watching one more time today. Look, I mean, I think Neil might be close to being ready. We do have earnings almost right away, so we'll stay tuned to that. The one, as soon as we get it, we'll go over there. Serious Logic is already out. We're waiting for Wind to come out very, very soon. That should be right away at 4 o'clock. We talked about Vertex coming out as well, VRTX coming through. Remember, Firefly Neuroscience, revolutionizing brain health. Thank you to them for bringing us the closing bell once again there as Roaring Kitty gives thumbs up to Firefly. So, all right, thank you so much. I don't got to be here, but you do, because it is the recap show with Neil and all of the earnings. Join Neil and Adara live on the desk right now.
Thank you very much there, Sean. So we are expecting on this market recap show a bunch of earnings names. VRTX and Win are expected out any second now. We're going to have Palantir coming out at 4.05, as Sean mentioned. HIMS is also expected to drop at 4.05. Cleveland Cliffs, which sometimes has a short float, could be interesting, but no movement yet on Win. I think that's the big one that we're looking for first, along with VRTX. Still nothing out just yet. As you can see, not a heck of a lot of movement, and it was pretty flat today. So we can go over, at least I think this is going to be the first one in, can go over something here. If we do get a move on Win, watch out that 200 at $90 to the downside. The expected move on Win is only 6%. And when you throw 6% at 96, it's not rocket science. You end up with a 200-period moving average at $90. So that would be a level if there is any kind of a dip there on Win. I don't know if we have VTRX out
I have
just
VRTX.
yet. You have VRTX. Okay, let's get the numbers, Adara.
Yep, so what I'm seeing here is product revenue of $2.77 billion. I was seeing revenue estimate of $2.68 billion. Huge caveat, I am unsure as to if the product revenue compares to the revenue estimate. That's one of the hardest things with doing this, is you're never really sure what numbers are going to compare to what. Either way, this product revenue of $2.77 billion is a 12% year-over-year increase to their Q3 numbers. So either way, increasing year-over-year. They also raised their full-year product revenue guidance to a range between $10.8 billion and $10.9 billion. Again, not seeing how that compares to estimates. We're also looking here for an expected earnings of $4.14 per share. I am not seeing the EPS that they reported here. So looks like they could have potentially beat that revenue guidance. Yeah, again, not sure how product revenue and revenue compare.
Well, certainly to the upside here for VRTX. Now, it did close at about 470 in here, but it just got up to 480, pull back into 478. So after being slightly red, it did go green, but not a very large move. It was an implied move of 5.7%. You're getting much less than that here with VRTX. Just double checking in here. Win is not winning at all. So that's kind of a pun that was going to work either way. To the downside, Win looks like they must have missed down at 92. Let's see if it bounced off that 200 period on the daily at 90. Adara.
Yeah, I just want to really quickly get back into VRTX because they did beat on earnings per share. $4.38 versus $4.14 expected. Then that $277 billion for product revenue looks like that was actually their revenue number. So good look, they did beat there compared to a $2.72 billion estimate from what the Benzinga was seeing. Like I said, I was seeing $2.66 billion. Either way, it is going to be a beat. Now, also on watch here, we have WYNN, which, as Neil just alluded to there, was a bit of a loss. Adjusted earnings of 90 cents per share versus $1.01 per share expected. Sales, $1.69 billion versus $1.73 billion expected. Also going to be a miss. We also had Lattice Semiconductor, LSCC, I'm just seeing that through. In-line earnings of 24 cents per share. Sales of 127.09. One missing estimates of 127.092 million. So missing by a hair on sales, in-line earnings per share.
So another one that just came out, Diamondback Energy just reported, and they gave up some of their gains from the day here today. So I threw that one in the chat. Diamondback down about a couple of percentage points from the close at 180, but it is 404, which means we're going to have Palantir any second now. Win is still. There was just a bounce in Win. It was able to get up to $94. You can see a little bit of a wick in there. And then came right back retesting low. So right back into 91. Looks like a 90 test is going to be in play here, potentially for Win. That's that 200-period moving average for them on the miss. It is Palantir in just about a minute or so, as I feel like that one usually on time. And given what we've seen with a lot of these tech or AI-related names, there it is. Oh, they're already out, and it's to the upside for Palantir. So, I don't know I haven't seen the numbers come across, but that's a big volume spike just now in PLTR, up to $44, now 44.5. Keep in mind, the actual 52-week high sits up here about 70 pennies from where we are sitting. So it's a high break if it takes the next 1% to the upside here on Palantir. Now, we're expecting a move of 13%. So this is still half that move on Palantir. So we're expecting 13. It's now sitting at 7, trying to break out some of those highs. Do we have the numbers, Adara?
Yeah, so all I'm seeing coming through so far is one of their press releases. I'm not seeing how this compares to estimate, but I'll read you what I'm seeing. Palantir reporting 30% year-over-year revenue growth. U.S. revenue growth 44% year-over-year. GAAP earnings of 6 cents per share. They also raised their revenue guidance here. And so full-year revenue guidance, U.S. commercial revenue guidance, adjusted free cash flow guidance, adjusted operating income guidance, and said their AI demand won't slow down. So again, 30% year-over-year revenue growth, U.S. revenue growth 44%. So when I see how the actual numbers compare to estimates, I will absolutely let you guys know right away.
Yeah, AI growth won't slow down. The stock won't slow down either right there. So a bit of a bang there for Palantir. HIMS also out. HIMS up 10%. They just spiked 21 to 22 to 22.5 is HIMS. They did have a beat. EPS 32 versus 4. Sales 401 million versus 382. So HIMS and HERS Health also bouncing to the upside. Another name which was trying to get back to some local highs in here. So top and bottom line beats. I didn't see anything with regards to guidance when it came to HIMS and HERS, but hopefully we get those numbers too. A lot of times you react to the top and bottom, and then you start getting a little more granular when you get those forecasts in there as well. So good look for HIMS and HERS, but PLTR also doing some serious damage. It's now through that top, so that 45 half. You're now through it up at 46 even, as there isn't a red candle inside. I threw up a 1 minute so you can see a little bit more of the price action here on Palantir. Just made another fresh 52-week high. It's got a 5% short float. The market cap keeps on growing in here for Palantir. So it looks like Mr. Carp, he's fishing with dynamite. When it comes to this stock price right now. He's just absolutely killing it there. So HIMS and HERS to the upside, Palantir to the upside. We did have the hiccup on Win. It did go, where did it go? Oh yeah, $90. Well, Win, $90. That's the 200-period moving average. It's a line on a chart but it's one that you tend to bounce off. And now keep in mind, this also lined up with the expected move. 6% expected move, that's where it ends up bouncing here on win. So it just got back up to the 92.5 zone, down 3% currently, although it did tag just about that 6% move on win. So not all bad, mostly good so far on earnings. I didn't see Cliffs hit the wire, but we did see them hit the bid rather precipitously. So Cleveland Cliffs down 6%. This was down significantly more than that. They actually got all the way down to 12.30, which is almost a 10% move from what was up at the top here. So Cliffs they must be out.
Yeah, they are. It's not good.
It's good?
It's not good.
Oh, not good.
I'll give you the numbers that I'm seeing, and I want to clarify, guys. A, I know my throat's sore, so please let me know if you need me to repeat anything in the chat. I apologize for that. B, also I'm seeing these numbers. We're not always going to see all the same estimates, so I'm going to do what I can. I'm seeing revenue of 4.6 billion. Analysts were looking for 4.76 billion, so that would be below the analyst estimates I'm seeing. They here reported losses of 52 cents per share. Analysts were looking for a 31-cent loss per share. So that was a larger than expected loss per share based on what I'm seeing here. They also said that in their GAAP EPS results, they had to include discrete charges and losses totaling $145 million. Apparently that had to do with an arbitration decision and acquisition-related expenses. So potentially one-time expenses, though they didn't really elaborate on that as of right now. They did say, though, this is not a great commentary on the quarter. Weaker demand and pricing drove tighter margins and ultimately led us to temporarily idle their Cleveland number 6 blast furnace. But apparently they did have lower unit costs. So yeah, they did miss across the board here. I'm seeing adjusted losses of 33 cents per share versus losses of 27 cents per share expected. Sales of 4.57 billion versus 4.77 billion expected. So losses across the board as we anticipated.
Yeah, so not good there for Cleveland Cliffs. You can have expected losses, but they're even bigger than expected. Then it is what it is. You're going to head to the downside. And then with the beat, Palantir tagging 47 now. Let's be a little bit more particular. I think it got to 99s. $46.99 is either way 47. You're getting fresh highs, as we mentioned. You've now busted it out. The move now 12%, so that's a little bit more in line with what we were looking for Palantir. The implied move being 13%. So believe it or not, it's still kind of an inside move. As crazy as it is for Palantir on that beat, it's looking absolutely fantastic. We already went over win. I don't think we have NXPI out just yet. That is going to be the last name of the big ones to report. And I haven't seen numbers, but obviously NXPI is out and not looking very good here. NXPI just broke lower, down $10 here, about 5%. The expected move was 7%, so NXPI was not looking fantastic heading into this. And it seems to me like the last line of support in here on the daily, which was 219, about to get tested any second, as that would be the expected move again, right down into support. So downside here on NXP Semiconductors, not a good look for them. It's a great look for Palantir. It was certainly not the best of looks for a win, although they did make a little bit of bounce off $90, and you just saw NXPI not looking very good. They are to the downside as well. Not a very good day, but it depends on who you are, because Palantir and HIMS having no trouble heading to the upside, but only one of them, spoiler alert, it's not Palantir, gave it all back. HIMS gave the entire move back, went red, bounced off 20, and is now flat.
What?
So HIMS and hers went 21, shouted out up to 22.5, big move. Then you go red, it's down 5%, and then it's right back to flat here on HIMS and hers health. Just to give you an idea of the wild action that you see in the aftermarket, you got to let it settle down. Notice the big difference, right? There wasn't even every single little bit of a dip was getting bought up there in Palantir, whereas the first pullback on HIMS couldn't hold. Second pullback couldn't hold. Third pullback, and it's still looking like they're giving up gains. So you can tell the difference between profit taking and maybe short covering and exuberance, and there isn't as much exuberance on HIMS and hers, despite the fact that it has an 18% short float. So there you go. They get a beat. They have a good short float. It's not always enough, although time will certainly tell Oh, Chris Carter, that was a good one. I can see why the chat might have blocked that one. But yeah, Hims might have been premature celebration if you're into that one, but certainly not premature when it comes to Palantir. We're obviously going to be looking at this one to see if it does find a support level. Sometimes we like where you can consolidate in the aftermarket to give you some key price levels. At this point, Palantir hasn't told you anything because it's only going up. So we really don't have any dip levels where there's even been some kind of a bid support in the aftermarket to get any guidance off of. I don't know if I'm pretty sure that's all the earnings that we've got to. And then we're going to have Mr. Noss come through. Is there any updates that we have here or there?
No, I think what's worth noting here for Hims is it's not even guidance that brought them down, because that guidance was solid. For the record, Q4 guidance, I'm not seeing how it compares to estimates. They guided 465 million to 470 million, but their fiscal 2024 revenue guidance, they actually increased, and it's well above estimates. They're now guiding 1.46 to 1.465 billion versus estimates of 1.396 billion. Now, also NXPI, it's worth noting, they also did beat estimates. So earnings of 345 per share versus 343 expected. Sales of 3.25 billion in line, so that's not great, but I think more notable is the fact that their EPS decreased by 6.7% year over year, and their sales decreased by 5.3% year over year. So inline sales and decrease for both metrics.
Good look there, Darren. And it looks like there was another earnings. Maybe not a huge, not a gigantic one here, but I mean, Astera Labs is a $12 billion company, or, well, it's more than that now. It's obviously not 12 billion anymore. Probably over like 13 and a half. Astera Labs with a beat. They're up 13% as well. Looks like 200% year over year revenue growth for Astera and a 9% short flow. However, our good friend Mr. Noss, who is going to be coming on in any second now, would point this out to you that Astera Labs, that's a hefty 9% short flow, but the days to cover only 3.7 there. And that's another thing to keep in mind when it comes to Hims as well. But without further ado, we've got Mr. Noss, our good friend, for a little trader talk. Good afternoon, Michael. How are you doing? It's been so long since we've been able to chat. No, so how's the day been treating you?
It's been great because I haven't done very much, right? I did that whole political rant this morning, and now I've just been kind of watching, and I'm excited for Wednesday when this is all over, that's for sure.
Yeah, and with that, there's something I wanted to open with, because it was right after we had you on this morning, and you were talking about the seasonality of, not the seasonality, but basically the returns that you would see relative to when you might have invested. And then one of the final things that you left with was, when you have a massive event like the election tomorrow night, therefore Wednesday being the first trading day, you're going to have a lot of traders with a longer time horizon, or different time horizons longer than day trading, wait to put on trades for Wednesday. And immediately after that, we got a great question in the chat saying, but then on top of that, we also have the Fed, which is pushed back a day on a Thursday. And the question being, well, if we're waiting until after the election, would it also make sense to just wait a little bit longer till after the Fed? To which I countered, we know what we're going to get from them. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, and I think you nailed it there, right? If it's only when things are unsure that it makes sense to wait, in my opinion, for these things. So, for example, if it was a foregone conclusion who would win the election, and everybody knew what that was, and that the probability of it being someone else was incredibly low, then I'd say, go ahead. So imagine if Apple is going to release earnings, you generally want to avoid, entering a new position a couple days before then. But if everybody knew what Apple's earnings was, if they told you a month ago what their sales was and all of this, and it wasn't a surprise, then I would be less worried about it. And it's kind of the same with the Fed that's coming up for the next little bit. I think the Fed funds are pretty settled on everything that's going to happen. So I'm not as worried about it, but there's nothing wrong with just taking the week off. If there's a lot of news events saying, I'm going to do something else. One thing I always want to reiterate with people is that trading isn't the job when it comes to trading. A lot of people think sitting and hitting the button, that's the thing, that's the job. But just because you take a week off trading doesn't mean you take a week off becoming a better trader. You could spend the time reviewing old trades. You could spend time watching webinars of other people talk about trading. You could, back test strategies. You could there's tons of things that you could do that if you're worried about a week of volatility, that stepping away from the market and working just as hard, if not harder, on these other things will make you a much better trader when you come back. So I don't think it's like lazy to take a week off. Just, do something else.
Yeah, like your work is never done. The same way you prepare for day trading, you prepare pre-market. Some people like to do that aftermarket as well. Or when you're sticking around for the aftermarket show, we'll go over like key important levels or the reports. If you're into the fundamentals, what to look for the next day. You're always still working. And in lieu of that, and in addition to that work, I think sometimes when you're sitting back and waiting for an event, you want to be cultivating ideas so that when it comes time to pounce, you know what you're looking for. So
absolutely.
Now that we've already teed this one up, what might you be looking for? There's some obvious, I think people are always like, okay, well, after the elections, are we interested in energy names if one side wins, or marijuana on the other side? What are the types of things that you're looking for here to express trades in after the election?
Well, yeah. So for this, and in case anyone missed it, I actually took the same presentation. I just put it on my YouTube channel as well. You can look for just Michael Noss CMT if you just want to watch it again. But one of the charts there that was very interesting was showing how, at least in the last few elections, the sectors that one would think that would move based off a political party didn't, right? So under Trump, we had a massive big tech move, and then under Biden, we had a massive commodity moves when it came to like coal and things like this that you would imagine would be opposite. So I don't really look at it as when one candidate wins, I want to take certain trades. But as you mentioned, Neil, I want to spend this time looking at what's acting interestingly and try to make some ideas from that. So the chart I have on top right here is just the S&P 500, and I think this is kind of the easiest one for me to say I want to see something happen. Right, we've been stuck inside this range here from 560 to 580 for a couple weeks now. I think first and foremost that has to break before anything gets super interesting one way or another. We need to see this break, and when this breaks, we need to see what sectors are leading it. If you look at my kind of heat map here, you see NLR, which is nuclear, WGMI, which is Bitcoin, massively down, and then we have wheat stocks and natural gas up, but these things are still just inside of ranges. So what I'm doing a lot of is I'm looking for individual names and individual sectors that are holding up into a high end of the range, names with large short floats, things like this. Just something that's not range bound is where I got to focus first.
Yeah, and I think that's what you have to do. There's always going to be those sort of obvious plays that everyone wants to work into. But you have to keep in mind, sometimes the best opportunities aren't the ones that everybody thinks are going to be it. And, like as you just said, sometimes it's the opposite effect. If it catches people by surprise, all the more better the opportunity, the trading opportunity that it can be, because it's not going to be as crowded. If anything, the people crowded the other way. Michael, Adara has a question for you, so I want to throw it over to her because she's eager to jump in.
Sure thing.
Hi, Michael. My question is kind of related to what you're saying with looking at certain sectors or names that could be in play. MSOS, of course, a pretty interesting election-related move. And I know you had tweeted last week about TAN and solar being in an interesting place here on the weekly chart. That was of last week. So as we head into this week in the month of November, ahead of the election and this rate decision, both of which could be interesting catalysts for solar, do you have any opinions now on TAN or any specific stocks or related sectors?
Yeah, so this is something I'm still watching really, really closely, and I'll bring up the chart just to show you kind of what I was thinking here. But if we go to the weekly chart of solar, we've been hanging out now for ever, like 2 years almost, no, about a year and a half, right at this level where we broke out of in 2021, and we're just sitting around that level, and we actually undercut it a little bit. But then on the daily chart, we took it back a couple days ago, and I don't know if this is the difference between one candidate being favored versus the other, and I saw betting markets flipped, or who knows what it is, but this solar has been hanging out in this area for a long time. And generally when something that's a very bearish kind of name for a long period of time stops going down, that could show a sign of an institutional bid. People are looking at this and saying, okay, it's finally fairly priced. That's why every time it dips down, you have buyers come in and retake it. And that's just happening over and over and over again. So my play and kind of what I'm looking for here on solar is just this 200-day moving average that I have here in blue. And it's been acting as resistance for a very, very long time. So if we can get above this 200-day moving average, I think it might be time to start looking for some solar names. The one I think I like the best is First Solar here, and that's because if we use the 200-day moving average as kind of our relative feature here, you can see that the whole solar market with TAN was below a declining 200-day moving average for a long period of time, whereas First Solar is above a rising 200-day moving average and breaking or bouncing off of this 200-day moving average. So I still like it. Again, it's all going to wait till after the election, but if TAN can get above that 200-day moving average, start working higher, I think First Solar might be an interesting one to take a look at.
Great answer, though, Michael. And this is one of the things, as you just mentioned, putting in that work when you're taking time off. Is anyone look? I mean, when you look at TAN and you see a potential breakout, okay, that's half of the job. The other question you always have to ask yourself is, if it does start breaking out, is the ETF the best thing to even be in, or is there an individual name that you think can get you either better safety in terms of maybe tighter stop that you can have on it because it's stronger, or maybe a bigger upside? Is there? Look, obviously, any chart that looks like that TAN chart is going to have a few constituents with a short float in it. Now, I know you like the relative strength of FSLR, First Solar. Is that ever a situation where, like, okay, you want to be in the strong one when it goes, but do you ever think if the group starts going, do I just want to take a shot maybe at the one that has the highest short float if the group is going to go? No, I don't know off the top of my head, but it was something that just came to my mind when I noticed a 5% short float on FSLR, but only 1.5 days to cover.
Yeah, for me, I'm generally going to stick to the relative strength just because partly I think people know better than I do. So they're able to look at the company's financials. However, I think often what will happen is if something becomes a theme again, say solar becomes the next AI related theme, the same way nuclear has, you generally get a first move from the biggest well-known names, and then as money starts to trickle down, you start to get a little bit of a pop of the lesser known names. So I think one good example is if you look at CEG, which I have up here on the chart. This is a nuclear name. So to go back to the whole AI thing that's happening, CEG has been just an absolute rocket ship since 2023, and just saying nuclear's back, nuclear's interesting. When it comes to AI and all that. And then over the last few weeks, you started to have these SMRs, which are these small nuclear reactors, that NNE that everyone was talking about. You get movements in these more junky names, the less profitable names. So generally what happens, doesn't always have to happen, is you get the good quality names are the first movers, and then if that sustains for a long period of time, then I start to look down into the more junky names with potentially higher short floats and more volatility. But I think generally what happens, if I had to guess the psychology behind it, if someone made a lot of money in a CEG and they think nuclear is going to continue and they're selling some of their CEG for whatever reason, they got some capital freed up, maybe they put some of that into some, long shot type names. So if we start to see a move in solar, I would imagine it's going to follow pretty much the same pattern where you're going to see a lot of these big names move first, and then you're going to be able to find these little solar companies. But it's a hard industry, I think, to be a small company in. Yes. The fact that solar panels are so cheap now and there's not much margin in them and things like that.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. It's like if the best of the bunch can't get going, what hope do the lesser names have to go in that type of a phase? So I think it's an important look. And again, I'm just throwing it out there because I do know, and I've seen it in the chat, and I've gotten this question because people always like asking about something like an end phase because it's got the bigger short float, but it also has a vastly worse looking chart. And I think that's one of the things to remind everybody. Like what you get out of First Solar, if the group starts going, you have a stock which has already proven that there's some buyers and more buyers in it than the rest of the group, and that's why you put that effort in there. So Michael, I again always want to thank you for your insight, the trade ideas out there as always, but it's not over. I still think Bitcoin has a chance, my friend. I know we've been jinxing it, and I know you weren't going to say anything about it. But the longer it doesn't do a bigger pullback, and I'm talking down into the 60,000 zone, the key thing for Bitcoin is it's pulled all the way back into the bottom of the channel when it touches the high. So as long as it doesn't do that, everyone's got it. You have to be patient with this. When you have a pattern as long as, like you were saying, this could take weeks, months to resolve before it ends up breaking out. And when you're looking at a pattern on a daily chart, you shouldn't have a day trader's mentality with regards to it. I just thought I want to throw that out there because it's like, just because Bitcoin didn't go right away doesn't mean it's not going to go.
Well, and I think Bitcoin, and this is cover your ears, Bitcoin maxis, but I don't treat Bitcoin like it's this thing that's going to, take over the world currency or anything like that. If you look at it and you compare it to something like the NASDAQ, it is, my opinion, the absolute best barometer of risk appetite in the market. You get Bitcoins and pictures of monkeys and all of this stuff going crazy when the market's really, really aggressive and wants more and more risk. What I think you're seeing in Bitcoin right now, and again, I've been just dead wrong in trying to time these breakouts in Bitcoin. But I think it's more of they're waiting for the election. They're maybe waiting for FOMC as well, because again, it's a risk asset. And with these events coming up that we don't know the outcome of, and that could affect the market greatly, if I don't even want to say it, but if Bitcoin's going to break, it would make sense to do so kind of after the election, or even after another rate cut, when there's more of that kind of risk appetite happening in the market. So in my opinion, that's what you're seeing, is that right now, every time it takes a pop, there's people taking that risk off the table, and then it drops and they're adding risk back in, which makes a trading range. And if you've been trading this trading range, great. I've just been waiting for a breakout and just been disappointed every time. But as a risk on, risk off barometer, I think nothing beats Bitcoin. And what I think you're seeing is just, okay, it looked like it was going to go, and then everyone kind of got reminded that there was all of these binary events that are happening soon. So if it's going to go, again, maybe it'll be next week or a couple weeks from now once the election's completely decided.
Exactly. And the key thing, like you said at the end, once the election is decided, and also once the Fed comes through. I don't think we're going to get a surprise, but the language could be important. I mean, you just had you get more data when it comes to the labor market. That stuff is going to end up mattering. But once again, thank you so much for coming back on. We look forward to talking to you at the end of the week. Our good friend, the NOS Boss. Shout out to the NOS Boss in the chat. We'll talk to you again on Friday, Michael.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers. And it's always fun, Adara, getting the goods from Michael. And it's an important note when we were just talking about for solar, not just being patient in general and being patient with Bitcoin, but in the solar names, if TAN starts going, why not just trade the strongest stocks? We always talk about the best of breed, right? And would you rather be an AMD versus NVIDIA? Yeah, it's sexy to look for a bottom in AMD because AMD hasn't been performing as well, but a lot of times it's just a little bit better to be in the strong name that you already know is going to be strong. So just a bit of a recap. I mean, Palantir, rocket, hims and hers, meh, win, did not win.
They lost.
Well, win, loss. Quite frankly, it's just that simple. Cleveland Cliffs fell off a cliff, and VRT... Well, I mean, it didn't really fall off a cliff. It's not all that bad. Cleveland Cliffs was to the downside, though. But Palantir, definitely the showstopper. It did get to 11% here. I believe it ticked very, very close to the expected move and then caught that top in there on Palantir. So unfortunately, there's not going to be that buy the dip off of the 50-period moving average, which would have been so much fun here. But you know what? We like it when stocks go up.
We do.
So this is going to be a fun one to trade tomorrow. But before we even get to that, we got to do a little bit of roll call action where we give thanks to every single one of our viewers and in our community. And remember, if you want to be part of the roll call to have Adara rhyme your name off, then you've got to be a member of the chat. And that means you've got to be a subscriber. So hit that subscribe, hit that like, get in the chat, and thank everybody, starting with our main man, our main man and woman on the ones and twos, Fabian and Ramin. I was going to make a joke, but because I know you're not going to say anything on camera there, Ramin, but that's fine. I know you're not going to say anything to everybody, but you could say hi for roll call. There, shout out to Andre as well. We have on the ones and twos doing a lot of work for us here. And big shout out to the Midday crew. The Bash brothers absolutely knocking it out of the park. Sharif and Joseph and my main man, Sean, Brendo, for the entire team here. And Bears versus Bulls, the best moderator in the business. So give that thanks and get that roll call on. Get your name in the chat. Drop them ones.
Let's get started there. Also, really quickly, too, I want to shout out Bears versus Bulls, Neil, Ramin, Fabian, Brendan, Sean, Sharif, Joe, anybody I didn't get to. Andre, shout out to everybody. Celanese, CE, they're down like 15% on earnings. They missed on EPS. They missed on sales. They dropped their quarterly dividend by a cool 95% starting in Q1 2025. So just if you haven't looked at that chart, I would say maybe look at that chart. I kind of didn't want to let us go without mentioning that chart. Maybe I'm biased because there's a spread, but either way. Shout out to Bears versus Bulls. Shout out to Apple Fritter, Bob S., Andrew Chow, Hey Davis, Michelle, Mui Casando. Shout out to Marie L. Shout out to Azad Trader, Marie S. Lyman, another Marie here. We've got Monty G. We have Willie. We've got Neil Roberts in the chat. Hey Davis. We have Tarak. We've got the Piper. We have Silverado Blue. Araf and Arden's family. Monty G again. Tarak. Day Party Experience. Randy. Leadom. Ari Pages. Bilbo Bagholder, one of my favorite names in the chat, I gotta say, because it's a pun. We have Enchantress Wonderland. Falthy Yeppo. Michael Westrick. I see you. Urban Trader, as a trader, I see you again here. Howell Capital Trading, Fernando Valle, we have Sora and to the right, Robert Vitale, Newfew with a capital P, Nightbot, shout out Nightbot, why not? Short Film Tommy, Gustavo SS, RP Sniper 22, D-Loaf, Axel Sim, Zamalek 1, Love the Hippo, Streamlabs, Dewey. Yeah, honestly, we're at the bottom of this list here, guys, but thank you so much to everybody for being here every single day. If you want faster, you got to type those names faster. That's all I got to say.
That's what it's all about there. And one message from Bears versus Bulls. At Ramin, use your words. Say hi to everybody. No, we like to have a lot of fun around here. And the best part about it, everybody, whether the stock market is up or down, whether earnings names are up or down, whether Palantir goes from 13% to 9% now to 20% tomorrow, it doesn't matter because we're here for you with the real price action, the real trading that we like to keep it real with. And we're going to do it all again tomorrow. It's a big earnings week. It's a big week with the election tomorrow night. It's a big week with the Fed. But we get to do this every single day regardless. It's going to be a wild one, so make sure you tune in bright and early. Once again, 8:30, we are Trader TV Live. See you tomorrow.